Welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks, presented by the Long Island Comic Guys, the masters of the geeky verse. So we have an awesome episode today. Later on, we will have our interview with Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel. We travel across the pond to talk all things Superman and geek goodness. But first, as always, I am TC, joined by Toy Story.
What up?
Bojo.
Red 5 standing by.
And JJ.
Hello.
All right. Well, we're going to turn it over to Toy Story for the Geek Beat and go into what's going on in the world of geekdom.
So first off, we got a lot of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you quickly. I was really proud of myself for that one today.
That was good.
That was good.
I felt like a professional.
I would have forgotten the Masters of the Geekyverse. So I'm glad you did it.
I know. That's why I don't let anyone else do it. You guys always forget the Masters of the Geekyverse. We are the masters of the Geekyverse.
I mean, we probably could just write that down.
Yeah.
We could. I don't need to.
Should we
though.
trademark that?
We probably should.
We
Yeah.
probably should.
Test you fund it.
That's fine.
All right, so Crisis on Infinite Earths, we got a bunch of updates. So we have a small Michael Keaton Bruce Wayne nod that's been leaked from the crossover. Who wants to talk about that?
So it looks like it's a Gotham City Gazette, which is that the paper that the
Robert
Vicky,
Will Knox.
Well, yeah, was that
Yeah.
where Alexander Knox and
sure.
Vicky Vale worked for? They
I
worked for the
believe
Gazette.
so. Yeah.
So it's a newspaper that says Wayne Tech CEO Bruce Wayne to marry socialite Selena Kyle. So it's a picture
It has a
of
picture of him.
of Michael Keaton,
It's
Bruce
pretty,
Wayne.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked when I first saw that. I was like, wow, this. At first, I thought maybe he was coming on, but
I wonder if it's
would be
just
better.
set dressing. Is it actually gonna play a part, or is it just gonna be this is a cool thing that's in
it
a
may be just.
newsstand?
I imagine there's gonna be a shot of somebody walking by
Yeah.
a newsstand, and there's just gonna be hung up behind the guy.
Yeah, or in
Right.
one of those pull downs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to say before we go into more of this thing that Crisis on Infinite Earth is doing is probably one of the most amazing things that anyone's ever done in comics, movies, or television. Like the fact that they're bringing in all these different things. I don't think anyone has had this appreciation. I wish the movies would take, maybe a page from what these guys are doing and realize how exciting this is for the fans, that they're showing this appreciation to all these different, people who have played the characters before.
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because of the track record that DC's been going on.
But
with
this
their
is
movies.
DC TV.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that. I understand that.
Same could also be said for DC TV.
I'm a little nervous. I hope it gets. I'm so excited for it, but
Yeah.
I hope
Well,
I don't know.
temper expectations.
It's-
It's DC Comics. It's TV. DC's TV and animation has always been kind of stronger than Marvel
I hear
stuff.
you. I hear you.
I don't think any of this all this stuff. There's no way that there's going to be a chance that I don't enjoy all these nodes or nods or homages to the past. I feel like that's their bread and butter.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot of homages to the past, like fan service.
Yeah, I feel like the things that people really enjoy is when you watch it, oh my god, I know that, and it's just it doesn't even matter if you don't know that, but you'll know it later.
I just hope that they don't rely on that for
Everything.
because
Yeah.
fan service doesn't mean good content.
Well,
Right.
I think what the intention of this truly is to bring everyone into the same universe. I think that's the intention of this Crisis because they're killing off Green Arrow, right?
Are they? They're not. They. Well, it's pretty obvious that he's got to make the sacrificial play.
Yeah, so
but,
he's basically their Batman at this point, right?
Right.
And they're starting off this new universe. I think from what I'm hearing, Supergirl is going to be brought into this new world where everyone's in the same universe,
Burt Ward.
which makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I'll just let us go back into the news because we're gonna go off on a diatribe.
with that, Burt Ward obviously is going to be in it, and a photo leaked of him in a bright red sweatshirt walking a German Shepherd.
Yeah, and in the classic Robin colors
Yeah,
from the '66 show.
I
He's
wonder-
74. Right
He's
now.
74,
That's
man.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
Can you imagine how awesome it would have been if you could have got
Adam West.
Adam West too? Oh my god!
I know.
All the every day, I'll be honest. If we don't get every single person who, at least in the past, has played a DC character, I'd be really surprised. I mean, the only person who hasn't confirmed at this point is Linda Carter, right? And I'm telling you, there's no chance she's not going to be involved in this in some capacity as
She
the
has to.
original Diana. There's no chance.
You don't think so?
I'm saying there's no chance she's not.
Oh,
Well,
right.
she's already done stuff for Supergirl. She was a role on Supergirl.
She's
wasn't
going
she?
to show up as Wonder Woman in some capacity. If it's not leaked, it's going to show up without it being leaked.
Would she be Hippolyta, maybe?
What's that?
Could she be Hippolyta?
No, I want her to be the
Diana?
Diana from the universe that she played her in 1977 or whatever the year was.
So I want to go back to Keaton. Did he get paid for this, do you think?
It's an interesting question. I don't know.
I would assume
I don't know if he
either.
has to.
It's his likeness. It depends on how much this actually plays into the episode.
It's
if
a
it's
picture-
literally just set dressing, it shouldn't.
'Cause
I don't know if it'll matter.
It's a
I'm not
picture
a-
back from '89.
For something that's owned by
Should
Warner
we
Brothers.
get one of
so-
our legal friends to give us a
curious.
quote on this?
I'm curious.
We should probably find out.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have an answer for you guys later.
Maybe JJ will be able to get a legal. I don't trust our other legal friends.
Yeah.
Wow, he listens to this show. He will be greatly offended.
Sorry,
I wouldn't
Jeff
trust him
B.
either.
Oh, you guys are the worst. I would trust him.
Also from that movie, Batman '89, we have Robert Wuhl.
Wool. Yeah,
Thank you.
he was actually at
Robert Wool.
Terrificon.
Yeah, I know. I remember. And he'll be reprising his role as Alexander Knox.
So maybe the paper will be in his scene. Probably.
Maybe.
It's most like
Yeah.
it has to be.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what a coincidence that the two kind of dropped in the
But
same.
you know what's
Yeah.
funny? She wasn't a socialite, Selena Kyle, in the Keaton universe. She was like she worked for Christopher Walken. What was his-
Hello.
Well, power. We can never have enough power.
Selena. Hello. I got a fever. Only prescription is more cowbell.
Weren't we trying to get through these in 50
Yeah,
minutes?
sorry, it's not happening.
All right.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it should be cool, Crisis, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, next up, not much news, but a little announcement for people. So once you're hearing this, it'll be tonight. John Boyega's agent confirmed that a new episode 9 trailer will be airing during Monday Night Football this evening.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Oh boy.
So you could watch football for football, you could watch football for Star Wars, or you can wait till they post the trailer on
On
the
YouTube
internet
immediately.
like 5 minutes later.
Which
Correct.
will I'll be doing.
Yeah.
I don't like football that much.
Who's
to
playing
watch it.
Monday night?
Oh, well, that's a good question, actually.
We don't really care.
My
I
fantasy
actually-
team cares,
I actually care.
and I also
Again.
am doing terribly this year.
We don't talk about sports on this guy.
I'm sorry.
Toy Story and I don't care.
Yeah.
All right, move
we'll,
on.
We'll be on YouTube. All right, next. We're going to talk about Zach's
Detroit and
favorite...
Green Bay.
All right, let me take the
All
reins
right,
here for a
go,
second.
go.
Let me just
Run wild.
So this is something that I'm not.
You have 5 minutes.
I'm not a big fan of trashing things. Like I'm really not. I try and find the silver linings.
We know.
So we haven't talked on the show yet how the new Birds of Prey poster dropped. So this
We
is
have
for the
not.
movie Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Me, never learning this full title for this terrible looking movie.
You know the title name.
I do know the title name and I hate it. The poster dropped, the trailer dropped, and I honestly was looking forward to it until I saw the poster, and then I saw the trailer. So for those of you who haven't seen it, there was a poster released, and it's Harley Quinn, and it's like her full head on this poster, and all the other characters are kind of floating around her head as like little birdies, as if she's been like knocked on the head as a Looney Tunes thing. And it would have been great if it was executed in a better design fashion. So let me get on my design high horse for a second. Okay, I'm on my high horse.
I just want to point out that it is very rare for Bojo to criticize something this openly.
I am so mad.
Before it comes out.
I'm so mad. And listen, it could be great, but I saw the trailer. The usage of color is actually kind of fun in the poster, and I will give it that. But like the scale of Harley Quinn's head is ridiculous. And then all the other characters are teeny tiny little birds, and you can't see who's who. You can't see what they look like. You can't see what they're wearing. They look terrible.
You know what my biggest issue was, and I didn't notice it until Toy Story pointed out the fact that Harley Quinn is also one of the birdies she sees. I don't understand that.
Why not just shift her whole head down, right?
Have it show,
So
like,
you just
the
have it
eyes.
from like bridge of nose or eyes higher. Put a lump on her head with her little mallet, and then have those little characters actually floating above, maybe slightly larger, so you can see who's who. Maybe.
You're not wrong.
Maybe.
I didn't have as much of a gripe with it when I first saw it until you pointed all these things out.
I'm sorry. Design-wise, it's very frustrating. We'll like post this picture, and I'll circle
about that
stuff and
trailer?
do like a whole. Ugh. Okay, the trailer. Aside from the oversaturation of Harley Quinn, and I'm sorry, DM. I know you're a Harley fan. Aside from the oversaturation of Harley Quinn, none of the characters seem like the characters. and that's a major like Cassandra Cain talks. Cassandra Cain talks and is also not like a martial artist. Mm-hmm. Like, why not just call her someone else?
I'm all for reimaginations of characters.
Me
but
too.
This is not that.
No, this is like we're just gonna name these characters after characters.
Yeah.
Like what? All right, I'm done. I'm like
that was pretty concise. Very good. I'm proud of you.
All right.
Proud of you.
I'm off the high horse.
Great
now.
job. I'm
Sorry,
surprised
guys.
you only did it for that short of time.
Jeez.
I can only be negative for very small spurts. I was really looking forward to this movie. Like
can see
even the title.
Oh, now I understand
Yeah,
why
I was
you're disappointed.
really looking forward to this movie. I loved all the characters involved, and then I saw them all, and they are all not right.
Are you still gonna see it?
I don't even know if I'm going to go see the new Star Wars movie. So I know. We like you guys were talking about the trailer like 2 seconds ago. I don't even know if I want to go see it in theaters.
It's the last one. You have to.
I don't, because I've already sunk like 5 hours into them, and I wasn't really happy with them. So
I mean, I agree,
one
but-
movie
I mean, the
does not make
last
a
one, the
trilogy.
first one was very good.
The first one was a rehash of the four. Whatever. No,
Don't you dare.
not doing it. That was saving that.
Harrison
Debate
Ford
part two,
deserved an
guys.
Great
Oscar
Geek
for
Debate
that.
Part 2.
Yes.
Great Geek Debate
All right,
Part
moving
2.
on then.
Anyway, moving on.
We're gonna talk about Martin Scorsese.
Who?
Martin Scorsese.
Never heard of him.
No. He's got a little movie coming out called The Irishman.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway, he's trashing.
Is
all
that
of
the
our
guy
comic
from
movies lately.
Is that Banshee from the X-Men? Irishman? That's a joke.
Anyway, he's been kind of trashing the Marvel movies lately in the press, saying that they're not really cinema. I mean, a lot of superhero movie involved people like James Gunn have been responding, saying that they're super disappointed in his comments, and James Gunn especially, like, he looked up to Scorsese as someone like one of his heroes, and to hear him say that is just really upsetting to him. So, what do you guys think of this?
So
Wow.
the one thing I wanted to say is, I guess it depends on how and you know what, this is a very rare take for me, because I'm gonna a little bit come to his defense, is I guess it depends on how you define cinema. I mean, if is he just saying the movie experience in general? I think part of the problem is people are getting cranky about the fact that that regular folks don't want to spend $20 to $22 or whatever it is, $17 to go see a film and not get an experience like you get with the Marvel or the DC universe. I mean, outside of seeing like a blockbuster film, I was like, I'm really fine with waiting for anything else. Watching it at home. I have a large screen at home, and I don't need. I have a decent amount of sound, and I don't feel like it's necessary to see some of those movies in a theater.
I go to these movies, but I have that AMC thing where it's $20 a month for like 12 movies.
Yeah.
If I was paying full price for each movie, I would not go.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know that was a thing.
yeah, it is $24 now, but it's still worth
I
it. I think.
literally have seen like one movie this year.
Yeah.
And is he comparing, so like the Marvel movies where it's heavy CGI compared to the movie that he's done where there's really...
I mean, he's
Probably just the fact that the Marvel movies are like cookie cutter at this point.
he's done so many movies, and I think in the beginning, I think maybe if anything now he has more of an argument, because I feel like they are starting to get a little bit that way, but we don't know what
cookie cutter?
Yeah, we don't know what we're gonna see, in the next phase.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's a different world now. Like you're growing up in a world where people expect this from their theater experience.
Mm-hmm.
He came up. I'm sure some of the stuff he did, made the older people of his generation cranky at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the evolution of the world. I don't know if we were planning to touch on this, but I think Robert Downey Jr. gave a great answer, and it was kind of like what I was saying, and it's just like it's the evolution of cinema. Some people it's hard for them to change their ways and what they expect from their experience. And I mean, I think he's wrong? I mean, for his interpretation, I'm thinking he's probably looking at it differently. I mean, even Jennifer Aniston made comments recently how she's she wished we could have like the same rom-com experience, going to the movies and enjoying those. And like, yeah, I remember before the Marvel universe came out, we were going to see stuff like Knocked Up and Superbad and stuff like that, and those were the movies that were big. Even like what's the one where the three guys get drunk and don't remember where they are?
Hangover.
Yeah, would The Hangover do as well now? I don't know.
You're
I
right.
mean, those are the movie industry is changing. You know, evolution of stuff changes all the
People's
time.
tastes are changing.
Societally, people are changing.
Yes.
I mean,
everything's changing for like everything.
You know, in the 60s, maybe in the 70s, 80s, you know, all the fans of like, you know, Westerns could have been crying about like, I want a good Western again. But I mean,
I
you know,
would
everything.
like a good Western again.
There's been a few, I think, right?
310 to Yuma was
Cowboys
pretty
and Aliens? No.
Oh,
I really enjoyed that. I'm not going to lie. But we won't get into that. But
No, I hear where you're coming from.
I
though.
made lots of money off that.
I think I understand where he's coming from. The fact that he followed up with it. What was the follow-up that he said?
I don't remember.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for putting you on the spot.
That's okay. I'm
Something
not
about
prepared.
something about it turned into like a theme park type of deal.
I don't necessarily disagree. I understand. So it's the definition of cinema that I think is what
Right.
people are having a discussion about
Mhm.
currently. I don't necessarily disagree with Scorsese's assessment of things, and I don't think that means that the movies that I enjoy with Marvel are
It's
not
not
good.
cinema. It's something else.
He's
Yeah.
comparing.
We
he's
shouldn't be
basically-
invaded by it. We need cinemas to step up and show films that are narrative films. So he's saying that these aren't narrative films.
There's a narrative element to them, but the spectacle of it is I think
Is the selling point.
is the selling point.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
I
comparing
think-
Marvel movies to theme parks.
Yeah.
He might want like the big push should be independent theaters that have cheaper prices that show more like the Jay and Silent Bob thing that they're doing is essentially like I think a 2-day release, right? Jay and Silent Bob reboot I think is the October 15th, October 17th. This is not a plug. Kevin Smith did not contact us to do this, but like
But
I
he
think
can if he wants.
he like it's literally like a 2-day release I think, and then like he's just gonna tour around with Jason Mewes and watch it in theaters with audiences. Like that's a cool way to do a movie, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I'm all for that. You know, movies have just gotten so expensive at this point.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like we can have a whole episode discussion about this. I mean, it's really kind of your opinion. I mean, I get where he's coming
Maybe
from.
we should.
It's possible. I mean, it's just
Somebody
I
reach
don't
out
want
to-
I don't want to spend the whole episode on it, but
Mhm.
it's
You know, what is cinema?
Mhm.
yeah.
We could have an episode on that. What is cinema?
Yeah, let's do that.
What is
Coming to your ears in the near future.
All right, moving on.
Sorry.
All right, so we have a new DC Comics timeline. Who
Yeah.
wants to talk about that?
so-
Mr. Davino?
Yeah, this was me. From New York Comic Con last week, DC had a panel where they released like a really low res, I think, version of like their new like 5 generations or 4 generations of comics. So like there was Generation 1 that like really low res, but you can still kind of make stuff out. It's like the dawn of the heroic age, and it's like 25 years. And Generation 2 is the space age, and it's 15 years. And that's when like Superman and Batman debut, despite the fact that Superman was also in like the first generation, the heroic age. Space Age is when like, you know, Robin, Batgirl, all like Nightwing all debut, and it ends with Crisis on Infinite Earths. Generation 3 is the Age of Crisis. So, like that's all the stuff that's from the 80s to now. So it's Death in the Family and Killing Joke, and you know all the stuff through the 90s like 0 Hour and the Legion 3 like reboot. You know, JLI then becomes JLA with Grant Morrison. You have all those crises like Identity Crisis, Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis. And then it leads to the current generation, which is Flashpoint. And like, there's this big rumor going around that there's a DC Comics 5G. And like, if you think about 5G, it's 5 generations, 5th generation. Like, it seems like to tie into what this is. And it seems like they're trying to streamline their timeline or like figure out what their timeline is and kind of give themselves like a working timeline that I guess that this is, but isn't necessarily meant for us to see. I don't really know exactly what's happening on that. But like, there's rumors of a new Crisis next year, and I just kind of wanted to pose to you guys.
Crises.
Yeah, like,
Crises.
do we need another
Crisis.
Crisis? Like, does DC need another Crisis? I know that there's like some like continuity snafus. Like, you guys noticed any of those continuity snafus? And like, even just between like New 52, 2011, when you guys like were starting to read.
Well, they were trying to wrap up the whole Superman thing, so they killed like New 52 Superman. They brought on like the Lois Lane and the kid, his son Jonathan.
John Kent.
And then like, you know, with Flash, they kind of brought back Wally West, right? Because he
Yep.
kind of disappeared. And
That was DC.
I'm really behind on what's going on currently on DC, just because I've been reading mostly digitally, and their DC Universe app for reading comic books is not up to par, in my opinion. I put a post on this recently with my I praised them on their original content, especially Titans, but to answer your question, I'm a little bit aware of what's going on, but
Okay.
so
Toy Story. Any?
I'm very not current, so.
Son of a gun.
Yep.
I know.
Don't look at me.
Oh, jeez.
I did read a lot of New 52.
So
but
I
haven't
posed a
read
question that's just for
It's
me.
okay.
Okay, this is awkward.
So answer your own question.
I thought the Doomsday Clock was going to be their like answer to all these.
But they're not done
continuity
with it,
snafus.
right?
It's late.
It's going on so long.
It's
Uh,
late. I was going to touch on this when we started talking.
And I
about
haven't read any of that.
Doomsday
I'm not-
Clock is really cool.
I'm not. It didn't spark any interest in me.
Oh, it's really cool.
I've been reading. I'm behind, but I've been enjoying what I'm up to so far.
I definitely recommend it. And like, you know, I'm a fan of Watchmen and fan of DC and fan of DC continuities. Like, that's a cool book. That was going to be like what I was going to talk on about with like what we're reading, but I'm going to jump into it now. That's fine. I thought Doomsday Clock was going to kind of answer these questions, and I think the fact that Doomsday Clock is so delayed, like they're working up different ways to fix this. Like Doomsday Clock's supposed to it was supposed to drop in June.
Who's doing that? Is it Jeff Johns?
It's Jeff Johns and
Jeff
Gary
Johns,
Frank.
yeah.
So Doomsday Clock, for anyone who's unaware, is that Dr. Manhattan has infiltrated our universe and was like kind of the leading, the guiding force, the guiding hand, the reason that the New 52 might have happened, or like why there was like an absence of hope in like the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, like DC Comics. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I think it's a really fun read. I think it's really interesting. I would give it a read. But I don't know if like I thought that was gonna be the crisis answer. Like instead of doing another crisis, like that would have done it. That would have dealt with it, and then we would have dealt with repercussions of it. But apparently not. Anyway, it's all kind of speculation. It's all kind of rumor at this point. I'd be interested to see like what they're gonna do with it and how it's gonna kind of play out and how that timeline's gonna. I'm a DC guy. I like timelines. Anyway, we're getting off topic. I'm done. I'm good. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
All right, shall we go into our interview then? That's about because that about wraps it up for everything.
Is that it?
That's
We
it.
talked about everything?
That's pretty quick.
Awesome. All right, so next you're going to hear our awesome interview with Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel. All right, well, we're glad to welcome to the show Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel, the biggest Green Lantern fan there is around. Luke, thank you for joining us.
No, you're very welcome. I'm really excited to come on. So this is the biggest amount of people I've had on a podcast so far. So this is good.
All right, so we're breaking records left and right. I was a joke, obviously. The Geek of Steel is not a big Green Lantern fan. He is a Green Lantern fan, I'm sure, but mostly a Superman fan, as the listeners at home can't see, but we can see everything around you is Superman. I believe
That's it,
that plaid shirt is even one of the Tom Welling shirts that he wore on Smallville,
So
correct?
I did actually start wearing that a lot more after Smallville. So always going for the lumberjack look.
Yes, it's not a bad look. It's not a bad look.
Midwestern farmer look.
So,
That's
again, how we usually start these off is we get the origin story of our guest. And again, before you became the Geek of Steel, just tell us quickly how Luke Bugg became a big geek and a comic fan.
No, of course. The TV show Smallville is where it all began for me. I've been a devoted Smallville fan since it very first aired, and before the days of streaming television and you could have TV shows and episodes instantly after you finished, they aired weekly here. And I didn't know much about the show. I didn't know it was going to be on television. And one Sunday morning, I started watching it, and I recognized the characters and the storylines. And from that, I was hooked on that show. And from there, I was interested in the backstory. I wanted to know as much about Superman as I possibly could. And from there, the obsession grew and grew and grew.
We couldn't tell it all. It's funny. I was actually, we had a little hiccup earlier, but I was saying that when I was in high school, I saw in the subway stations that they had these posters for Smallville, and like right away I was like, for some reason I didn't put two and two together, and I was already a Superman fan, and it's it was just Tom Welling kind of hanging in the cornfield, the pilot episode where they have him almost like as a crucifixion type thing, and I was like, wow, what's this show about? And then it took like the third or fourth time for me to see it, and I was like, wait, Smallville, and then I noticed he had like a little thing of kryptonite on his chin. I was like, this might be a show about Superman. I have to watch this.
Yeah, that first episode was pretty dark. They squeezed a lot into the storyline, and I still don't like Whitney. at all. After all those years, he was still a bully, bless him.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah,
So yeah, Smallville was where it all began, and from there, the obsession grew and grew, and then I started sharing my collection online with Instagram. At first, it was just a way for me to document my collection, and then it grew, and followers started coming, and I was meeting fellow collectors from all over the world, and eventually the LS Bugg of Instagram morphed into the Geek of Steel, which is sort of my Clark Kent Superman alias.
So
And that's grown over the years as well.
So you were kind of forced to morph into the Geek of Steel, right?
Yeah, so with Instagram, the handles are all lowercase.
Yeah.
So LS Bugg looked like IS Bugg. So I was getting tagged in the wrong comments. I think if you still go to IS Bugg at Instagram, it says this is not the page you're looking for. You need to go here, sort of thing. So yeah, I changed that to the Geek of Steel, and that took over.
Wow.
And then the website came, the YouTube, and eventually the podcast of Steel as well. So it's certainly taken over my life.
Yeah, so we'll get into all that soon. You mentioned earlier that you started reading like Superman comics. Do you have like a favorite story that you can think of offhand?
Kingdom Come is a story that I could read over and over
Nice
again.
pick.
All-Star Superman is a fantastic read. It comes and goes. I mean, I've got Hidden in the Dark is my graphic novels. I've got boxes and boxes of comic books hidden on the floor that are always out of the way. And it depends on my mood. If I'm feeling down, I would go and try and find an inspirational story. If I needed a laugh, I'd go and read one of my Bizarro or Elseworld comics just to sort of lift the mood. But normally I would just, if I'm wanting to go off and get away from social media, find a time, I would just sort of blind pick a graphic novel off the shelf and hope it's a good one. They normally are, so that's good.
Yeah, I think I'd probably would say Superman for All Seasons was definitely one of my all-time favorites. And I had just, as a big Superman fan, I had just recently read it, which was surprising to me. Was it that you that were? Oh no, another one of our friends. He was a former guest, Mike Caro. He recommended that to me, but a great story.
I highly recommend it, regardless.
It's a gorgeous artwork as well. So
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorites.
Excellent. Who wants to ask the next question?
Do you, staying on the topic of comics, do you have like a favorite origin of Superman? Because there've been like, 5 in the past 30 years.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, I really admire the people that go to their local comic shop each week.
The Wednesday
and get
Warriors.
And that's it, and just able to get everything, but keep up with the stories as well.
Keeping up stars.
That I don't do. I keep buying. I'm just not reading on time.
You still got the addiction.
Yeah.
You can't. But I mean, the Death of Superman is an arc I can go back and keep on reading. Oh, I've got the graphic novels. I've got the sort of the deluxe editions. I don't know why, but if they release it in a new print, I'm gonna buy it. It's sort of that whole Mel Gibson, I think, in Conspiracy Theories, he always buys one book when he goes past a shop. And if I pass a shop and see a copy of The Death of Superman or The Return of Superman, I have to buy it.
Wow.
I don't know why. It's a condition that I need to get looked at.
It's pretty cool that you do that, though. I'm not gonna lie.
I remember when the Return of Superman graphic novel, like that big, thick book, was like $20.
Oh my goodness.
It was like $20, the trade paperback. Like, oh God, this is like probably 20 years ago. So like I bought it and like was reading through it. I probably read through it, like believe it or not, before I think I read Death of Superman.
Oh my, spoilers.
I know.
Doing to yourself, man.
I was a kid.
Yeah, my original copy is sort of, it's very dog-eared. It's travelled around a few countries with me because it's one of my sort of go-to airplane books to read. So, and then I've got copies that are still in the cellophane. I've refused to open them. But yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
one of my favorite storylines for sure.
I've actually, I'm not big on change, but I've really enjoyed the Superman Year One so far. That origin story, the new
The Frank Miller book.
Yeah, the Frank Miller and
Yeah.
John Romita. I've
got
really
a
enjoyed
pile
that
of-
story.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I've got I think a week off in November from work. I'm going to try and have a social media free week and just catch up on comics and TV shows because there's just too much happening, which is don't get me wrong. It's a great time to be a geek and a
Yeah.
Superman fan. There's so much happening, but I need to set aside some time, just get some noise cancelling headphones, listen to some John Williams, go to a coffee shop, and just read and read and read.
Sounds
Fantastic taste in music.
like
There you go.
Thank you.
sounds like an ideal week to me.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect staycation.
I don't think my wife would let me do that though. All right, who's up next here? All right, I'll go. I'll keep going. All right, so the next thing we wanted to talk about is, do you have a favorite live action Superman?
Obviously, Tom Welling's going to be in that mix.
He is in there. For me, I mean, I grew up as a kid, obviously, Superman, Christopher Reeve, he was around. So, you know, it's hard not to be emotive whenever I watch those movies or just see a picture of him in my Superman suit, so to speak. But Tom Welling, for me, he made me fall in love with Superman and the Superman world. So for me, he is my favorite go-to sort of Superman on screen. But I love Christopher Reeve. I love Brandon. I love Henry Cavill. Tyler, he's okay.
I was actually going to say, as a little follow-up, like, what do you think is each of the other guys, what do they do really well as the role? What do you see as them doing really well as the role?
Tom Welling's Clark, for me, was phenomenal.
Right.
Growing up, getting to understand his powers, learning about his natural father and his adopted father, and seeing him grow up over those 10 years. I mean, he was pretty grown up when he started playing Clark Kent, but he's got good genes, so he was able to portray that look of a younger Clark Kent. So he was a fantastic Clark Kent for me. Christopher Reeve was, as a Superman, again, fantastic, but his portrayal of Clark Kent and Superman were very different to Smallville. He still did it in his own way, which was phenomenal. I mean, there are certain scenes where you can see that he's physically taller when he turns into Christopher Reeve, sort of his Clark Kent to Superman. His shoulders sort of morph into a bodybuilder's going from that slouch look.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon did a good a job as he could. Superman Returns isn't everyone's favorite Superman film, but there's a good story in that film, and there are good characters, and I loved some of the photography in that film. It was just outstanding.
You know what, I've commented this on the past. I think Brandon has done the best Christopher Reeve Clark Kent that anyone could have done, other than Christopher Reeve himself. The Superman was okay. His Clark Kent was great. I really enjoyed his Clark Kent. Although, like, the recent pictures of him as the Kingdom Come Superman are, I don't think anyone other than maybe Chris himself.
Still getting goosebumps about that every time I think about it.
It's incredible. He looks phenomenal. But I'll have to agree with you. As a big Superman fan, Tom wasn't my first interaction with him. I actually it was Chris, and I see him and he's just so transcending as Superman. Like, I close my eyes and when I think of Superman, I see him. Kind of thing.
Good word. Transcending.
He just like you said, he transformed himself as two different people. Like, it's almost like they got two different actors to play it, and it's a credit to his acting ability to really be Clark Kent and be Superman at the same time, and not see them as the same person. I think he did that so well that you would never believe that Clark Kent was Superman, regardless of whether they had the glasses on or not.
Not at all. And this was obviously way before CGI.
Yeah.
Way before sort of face morphing technology where they can change things.
Yeah.
And it was just simply him putting on the costume and turning into that hero.
Yeah.
And the poster said, "You'll believe a man can fly."
Right.
And I did as a kid.
Yes.
I still do now because of those flying scenes. Not so much when he's on the side of the building and his cape doesn't flow down behind it.
Yeah,
that's like my one note in the original Superman movie.
If you could George Lucas that movie, you'd fix that one scene.
That was it. Yeah, that was the one thing I would go back and change.
Add a little CG there.
So I guess let's get into like some of the stuff that you started. So you're a founding member of We Speak Geek.
That's correct. Yeah,
can you tell everyone a little bit what it is and how it got started?
So through Instagram and going to some events and whatnot, we tend to see the same bloggers when we get invited to screenings and rare opportunities when we go to a premiere or just at a Comic-Con. sort of we all live in different parts of the country. So Kibla is from London, Tasman is a little bit further up north. So London is our sort of hub. We can meet up together and go to screenings and make reviews. And we decided to join forces at the beginning of 2019 and sort of become this little gang of geeks. It's good because going to events and screenings is fun, but real life situations always come into play where one of us can't make it or one of us has got a work engagement, so we can send somebody else. Sometimes more than one of us can attend, but it's good because if we can't go, we can send Kibbs or we can send Tasman, and we can sort of make a group effort out of it. And it's worked really well for us. We've had a fantastic time over the last year, and it's nice to sort of I was doing blogging solo work for about a year. I'm still doing it. I'm still the geek of Still first, and we speak geek second. But it's been fun to engage more with like-minded bloggers and go to events and sort of work with companies from time to time.
Yeah, I think Tasman, she's the Kryptonian,
Yes, another username that was fantastic. The aspiring
Kryptonian. Yeah, she was at New York Comic Con recently, right? This past weekend?
She had a fantastic time as well. I mean, she was in Mexico for a week on holiday, then she flew off to New York. She grabbed a selfie with Jim Lee. She took, I think, all of her luggage was comics. That. So she's got a lot of signatures coming back. So she had a fantastic time. So I'm really proud of her.
I like those priorities.
Awesome. Yeah, good priorities.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
She tried to get every single variant of Action Comics 1000, and she's got them all, I think. But now she wants to get them all signed. So she's giving herself a real challenge there.
If she's missing any, let me know. I have all of them.
I shall send her your way.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about how your relationship with Warner Brothers UK started?
Yeah. I mean, the beginning of 2018 is when the Geek of Steel was really starting to kick off. I put some time and a little bit of money into becoming the Geek of Steel, buying a new laptop, going to more events, and saying yes to every situation that came my way. And I got a new laptop just before 2019, and I thought, right, I'm going to just start sending emails to everybody, because soon somebody has to say yes or at least reply. and they did, and I was very grateful for that. So I think one of the first times someone reached out to me was to go to a Lego exhibit that was in London. And from there, I got invited to a few screenings, and from then on, it grew. I managed to build up a trusting relationship with them, and they were happy to send me along to screenings and send me DVDs to review. And from there, it's been a fantastic relationship. It's really helped me not only grow as a blogger, but get more confident with public speaking and sort of leaving comfort zones as well. That's the greatest achievement I've done for myself since 2018 was realize that comfort zones are meant to be left.
Yes,
that's
very well
incredible.
said.
Thank you.
You know, it's interesting. I know here, you've been here, obviously. The geek and comic culture have exploded, and it's accepted so really. We know countrywide and worldwide too. Have you seen the same thing in the UK as well, where it's really exploded in terms of popularity?
I'm certainly seeing a lot more blogger sites start to emerge and sort of come out of the woodwork as well, which is fantastic. And I've only sort of been visiting Comic-Cons for about 5 years, but I've definitely seen a huge growth in that business area as well. Some good, some not so much. I can remember going to London Film and Comic-Con couple of years ago, which is for us, that's our equivalent of say like New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con. It's in the country's capital, it's on a massive scale. And about 5 years ago, it was more people going to get comics, get comic books signed, dress up in cosplay. Now it's a lot more come and see us, give us some money, and you can have 5 seconds of a superstar.
Yeah.
And that superstar might not be particularly much to do about comics, even not at all. And it's very sort of get the money while you can. Yeah, and that's the thing. I've seen that happen. I've seen and heard how the Comic-Con scene has changed, which is why I'm much more inclined now to visit a smaller, more local con.
Yeah.
And my hometown started doing it in 2018. It had its second year this year, and it just felt great to be back in, a Comic Con that is rooted in comics. And for the first year, they had some fantastic guests there. They had Louise and Walter Simonson. They had Frank Quitely there. They had some really big names for a first-time con, and it just felt more comic orientated. And don't get me wrong, I will still go to any Comic Con that is near me or I can get off work to go to. And hopefully one day it will go back to the way it once was. But as long as there's money being pushed into the
Right.
Comic-Con industry,
Yeah.
we're still going to get more comics. So
I mean, 100% that's what New York Comic Con has turned into. I think.
And we still go every year. But...
Yeah, I think especially for what we're trying to do too, I think people want, especially so many people can't get to go there. So many people want to see it, want to know. So this year we did a lot of like live streams and stuff like that, so people could, get the experience of being there. But us personally, we love the smaller shows. I mean, we choose to go. I think, we're going to try to vendor definitely at more of the local shows ourselves this year, sell some of the excess that we can no longer fit in our homes anymore and stuff like that. And,
all those doubles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so many.
But,
I
yeah.
can remember going to like a local con here and sort of finding those bargain bins and not particularly finding a comic that is in pristine condition, but finding some of the mad stuff.
Yeah.
Going back to sort of, I think I got for 50p, which is about 75 cents, that copy of Action Comics where Superman's outside the fake Golden Arch McDonald's, just shoving hamburgers into his mouth. And for me, that's a bargain because it's a dog-eared old comic that someone's enjoyed, and I got it for an absolute steal. So,
I mean, you still find that, but it's never going to be like at shows like New York Comic Con or anything like that.
No, not at all. Which is a shame, and that's why I'm grateful that there are a few comic shops now open up to me, privately owned family businesses that will sell you the cheaper comics and hold comic backs for their regular customers. So comics, they're out there. You've just got to look for them.
Those are definitely, I think, the places we try and shop more on. I think, have you heard of Midtown Comics? They're a big
Certainly have.
in the city. So, we tend to buy there sometimes. I know JJ gets most of his books from there, but a lot of the, more expensive variants, that's like the cheapest place to get them. And that's like,
because they order so many copies, so they don't have to make, a ton of money off of them.
But I think ordinarily we try to get from the smaller shops. I like to buy a lot of the bigger books outside of the internet, like at a show, buying from a smaller vendor.
Or from people you already know.
Yeah, that's mostly what we do.
I feel that I can get a much better recommendation from somebody who's read the comics rather than, say, an Amazon review.
Yep.
I would go to a Comic-Con with a set budget. That never works. But
Never.
I will go there to try and buy some new stories or some stories that I wanted to get in a hardback. So, yeah, I would much rather go to a private vendor like yourselves and sort of go and talk with them. What are you reading? What should I be reading? What stories are like this? And
it's so much better when they're also into, like, they're not just into the business side of it. Like, they're into this stuff too.
Yeah.
And you can tell when they are and when they aren't.
Yeah, you can tell when someone's passion becomes more business orientated because you see the light come out of their eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit darker.
Yeah, totally agreed. Have you ever been to any of the shows out here in the U.S.?
So I first visited America in New York in like 99, and there was a small Comic-Con event going on, but this was before Smallville. So this was before I classed myself, like geeky in any way. And then I went back a few years later after Smallville, and I just missed out on New York Comic-Con. So the only sort of Comic-Con type event I've been to was the Superman celebration in Metropolis.
I want to talk about that later, though. Hold on.
Oh no, I've got a lot to say about
yeah,
that.
I know. I have a lot of questions about that too.
Oh, good stuff.
All
That's
right.
fine. Ready for that.
So, what made you decide to start Podcast of Steel?
I've got a lot to say, and I didn't always know that. I've done radio work in the past. I was a DJ on a local radio station that featured unsigned bands that were trying to make it in the music industry. And I really liked the interview part side of that and getting questions and getting follow-up questions. And through 2018 to 2019, I have had the chance to interview some comic artists and writers on the geekofsteel.com. That was great, asking questions via email, but you only get one chance. You only
Right.
get sort of one set listed question, so you couldn't really have a follow-up question to an answer or take that down a different route. So I thought maybe the podcast would help that way. And it's really shown a new side of blogging to me and a new way of creating and a new way really of being nosy in a polite way by asking people questions and finding out things and digging a little bit deeper. I adore Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You podcast,
Yes.
and he has managed to get some fantastic answers out of people just by having a relaxed chat. Eventually, his guests forget that there's a microphone in front of them,
Yeah.
and they say some scandalous stuff. So
He's got a
maybe
little.
one day I'll
He's
get
got
to
a
that.
little advantage over us.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He's got a fantastic phone book.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So just let's back up real quick. So before you used to interview bands that up and coming bands.
Yes, correct. Sort of local unsigned acts that were sort of, just making a name for themselves.
Oh,
sort of
very
thing.
cool.
We didn't have anybody famous on there, sadly.
So because that was going to be my next question. Did any of them hit big?
Sadly not.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe one day. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's still very cool.
So, have you met Tom Welling yet?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have.
That's
So
awesome.
He came to London Film and Comic Con last year, and I was thinking about not going, but then that announcement came out. My phone blew up with phone calls and messages and text messages saying Tom Welling's coming to England, and I was like, no, he's not. And then in about 5 seconds after that, credit card came out. I was booking hotels, I was booking trains, I was booking photo shoots, and he was a fantastic guy to meet. And to meet, I was very nervous before meeting him. I wasn't there as press. I was there as a diehard Smallville fan, and I was nervous. I was excited, and he was charming. He was everything I hoped he could be and more. And he's really got sort of a devotion to the fans. And it was a great chance for me to finally meet him without having to fly to a different country.
I haven't had the chance to meet him yet. I have met who's the other guy?
Cavill.
Cavill, yeah, Henry Cavill. I got to meet him. They did like a Ace
The other
Comic Con
guy.
here. Yeah,
He did, yeah. He did a big tour over there.
Yeah.
He's not done any more cons since, but just that American one. So.
No, I don't know if he's done another one other than that con. Honestly,
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, they had everyone there. I had got to meet Jason Momoa a few years before right after he announced he was going to be Aquaman, but
Wow.
way before he had even showed up in anything. I actually got Neil Adams to do a sketch of Aquaman, a classic looking Aquaman, and then I had Jason on the back, right, unite the seven and then sign it. It was it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Was he riding the flying fish? Was it that
No,
place?
no, unfortunately he wasn't.
No seahorses.
No
Missed that one.
seahorses.
Easy on the Aquaman.
JJ's our Aquaman guy.
No, he's done a lot for the character. I managed to see that film, and it was a blue carpet event. I got invited to with We Speak Geek. This was just before We Speak Geek formed. We all got together because we were all invited to the UK premiere, and we got to have a quick meet and greet with James Wan and a little talking session about the movie, and then we were whisked off to Leicester Square for the premiere, and we saw Jason Momoa there, and it was hilarious because he was just walking as he does. He was just an
Yeah.
absolute rebel. He was drinking beer. He snapped his Quindon over his knee,
Yeah.
and his security guards looked like his two younger brothers.
Yeah.
They were tiny in comparison, and I was like, dude, you're not going to stop anyone.
Yeah, I'm about 6'5", 280 myself, and I stood next to him. I was like, he's a pretty big guy. I think the only guy I've seen bigger than him is have you seen any of the Netflix Marvel shows?
I have, yes.
The guy who plays Luke Cage is probably the only guy I've seen, but he's ginormous. He's
Absolute
a good.
tank. He's a unit.
Yeah, he's bigger than I am. I was like, oh, this guy's no joke. But yeah, Jason Momoa is a pretty big guy too. So I noticed that you got the chance to interview Zachary Levi quickly on the red carpet, right? How was that experience?
I didn't sleep for about a week before.
So you knew about it beforehand.
I knew about it.
Okay.
I honestly couldn't believe it. The negative side of my brain was saying things like, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Something will happen where it will get cancelled. It will be raining because it's England, and it will get all shut down. But they emailed me the week before saying, next Monday we need you to come to a private screening of the film. And I was already over the moon just by that.
Yeah.
I said, yes, I'll be there for that. I will get to London. I will get time off work. I will be sick off work if I have to. I'm not going to miss this. And then they replied back, we need you to come and see it 2 days earlier because on Wednesday it's the sort of multimedia screening and we want you to have some camera time with Zachary Levi. And I was like, oh, what? Excuse me? And yeah, so again, I've interviewed people before and I've really enjoyed it, but I've had the comfort of my fortress of solitude.
Yeah.
This is sort of my comfort zone. And they said, no, it's going to be, they're going to make a Philadelphia. They're going to make a fun fair scenario. You're going to have some time to walk around, play some games, meet some followers and some fans, and then you will be on camera in front of them. And I was like, do I need to bring my buddy Kibbs from We Speak Geek because he can film it? And it was like, don't worry about that. We've got the whole camera set up. And I was like, okay.
That's legit.
That's pretty cool.
And it was. I planned and planned and planned. I like to do that. It calms me.
Yeah.
I had about 5 different notepads filled with questions and responses, and I was trying to imagine the answers that he would give so that I could give better follow-up questions. And none of those questions got asked. I just sort of, everything went out of my mind when I finally met him. And sort of we were there in the fun fair. I was there with other bloggers and other friends, and that's when they closed the event down because Zachary was being brought out, and obviously he had loads of security. And my other sort of blogger friends were saying, come on, we're going to the cinema now to see it. Are you coming? And I was like, I don't want to say why I'm staying back, but I can't. I've got to do something with Zachary Levi. And I didn't want him sort of, again, the negative side of me when I don't want him to be jealous. I don't want to be that guy that's boasting and being smug about it. But as soon as I did said it, because they were such a great group of guys and girls, they were really supportive. Kiblar stayed behind. He was my hype guy. he calmed me down. He said, just focus, don't forget to breathe. That really helped out. But yeah, it was a fantastic moment. So I met Zachary the year before at London Film and Comic Con. This was when the Shazam news first came out, and I wanted to go there and get a sort of a judge of what sort of guy he would be like. I'm quite good at picking up people's vibes.
Yeah.
And again, this was the same time Tom Welling was there, so I had to buy another photo shoot with Zachary and an autograph as well. And I did the photo shoot first, and he was great. I had a big cheesy Geek of Steel T-shirt on that he pointed to, and then I went straight to his autograph session. And something that I've always done, I've always written thank you letters and handwritten letters in general. And I feel that's just a nice part of myself that takes myself away from the computer and being just another blogger to write a little letter. They might not read it. I know these celebrities are incredibly busy, but you never know who's going to read it and realize who sent it. So I gave Zachary a handwritten letter and a tiny little figurine of Shazam. So it was the old school Shazam with the real white cloak on.
Yes.
And he took that and he took photographs with it around London and he posted it on his Instagram page. And that was enough for me to freak out. But then when I was planning the interview, I thought, oh, we've got a slight moment together. He might not remember, but I will bring it up just before we have the interview, so it will break the ice. And the cameras were rolling. I was nervous. I was really nervous. And I said, we met last year at the Comic-Con, and I gave you a little Shazam toy. And he didn't remember me, but he remembered that gesture of me handing the toy. And he said some sort of lines like, you've gone from there to here, which stuck with me. That was inspiring words. But as soon as the cameras rolled, his charm and sort of camera presence just put me at ease. He was a very charming character. I was told I had 5 minutes with him, and I am not good at judging time at all. So I managed to get a few questions about the movie in. And I've watched that video back hundreds of times because I still pinch myself that it didn't actually happen.
Totally understandable.
At the beginning, I'm speaking sort of really fast because I'm really excited. And then in my head, I'm remembering, Kibbs told you to breathe and go slowly. He's American. Your English, there's a little bit of a dialect difference. Enunciate. And, and that helped.
Yeah.
This was all happening in my head at the same time as my heart was beating through my chest.
That's funny.
But he calmed me down and he gave some truly magnificent answers to most questions that were on the fly. So it was definitely, even though it wasn't technically a Superman moment in my blogging career, it was a moment that opened a lot of doors and showed me the possibilities of what blogging can be when done the right way.
Absolutely. I mean,
That is awesome.
You've done a pretty good job of it, and he seems like a genuinely great guy. I don't know if you've seen that video that circulated on social media a while back where he's giving that little girl like almost a 5-minute hug. Like she's like, I've never seen anyone as, you know, happy and emotionally, you know, charged to meet someone as that little girl in that video. And, you know, he understood the moment, and, you know, he kept embracing it for the entire, you know, time that, you know, she was giving him the hug.
Videos like that absolutely break me.
Yeah.
It's like those videos you see of like people from the military coming home and seeing their dog.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need these emotions first thing in the morning. But that video was exactly why. People said, oh, that's fake. He's not really like that. He is such a positive-minded individual that literally cares about everybody that he meets. And from that moment, meeting him at the Comic-Con, seeing him at the London premiere and watching him being interviewed, you just really get a sense that he does care a lot about the world. And his podcasts with Moke and Rosenbaum are so honest.
Yeah.
He's not had the best of lives, but he has made a fantastic life out of that dark side of his life.
Those are my favorite stories. I love when people can kind of like rise above. Like those are the stories that stick with you, and those are the people that you really enjoy, you know, seeing that they get success as well.
It's almost like that's why we read comics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. It's, you know, he's got a fantastic origin story.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah, that's why we like to do that origin story. It's always fun to hear like different people's journeys to where they got and how they got into it. You know, that's our one thing.
I'm used to asking the questions. So this is great for me.
Yeah, I know. It's got to be a nice change.
Switching things up a little bit.
All right, so I think the thing I was most excited about talking about here, I know I'm the resident Superman guy. I think we all appreciate Superman, but I'm probably closer to you in my appreciation is the Superman celebration. So were you invited to go to this? How did it happen that you went, other than being a fan?
Right. Here's the thing. I've known about the celebration for quite a few years. It's been going on for 42 years now. Funnily enough, Superman celebration T-shirt on.
Oh, so very cool.
That was apt. I just thought I need something yellow to go with the shirt.
I'm gonna have to get one of those.
I knew about it, and I'd always wanted to go because people have said, "Have you ever been? Do you know about the celebration? Do you know what goes on?" And I knew tidbits. I knew little bits of it. I knew about the statue. I knew about the museum, and it was 2018, so the year for me to say yes to things. And so in that January, someone said, "Oh, it's the 40th celebration this year. Are you going to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And it was pretty much as simple as that. And went out and treated myself to a brand new Superman journal so I could plan my trip. And then just started reaching out to people that had been to the celebration before, people who work at the celebration. And there's people who go there that have been going there for decades because it's
like the Mecca for Superman, right?
That's pretty much it. You know, it is the home of Superman. Yeah. So, I started planning. I emailed everyone who pretty much lives in Metropolis and works in Metropolis. I'm now very good friends with someone who works on the tourism board. I'm friends with somebody who works at the hotel. I'm friends with Mayor Billy. It's just one of the most bizarrest people to have in your contact book, but he is an amazing character. And they were like, "Who's this guy from England coming over?" They've had people travel internationally before. People have come from all corners of the earth. Steve Eunice from the Superman homepage, he's been there a few times. And I was like, I'm going to go. I want to check this place out. And it was special for me for many reasons. Because me going to the Superman celebration in 2018 is when I met my girlfriend out there.
Oh, okay.
So that was sort of my little romance to Instagram, is the fact that I'm a pen pal. I love writing to people, and something that I try to keep up with every now and again. But I met my girlfriend through Instagram. At first, she was a pen pal. Then she pretty much became my PA, my manager, my security guard. And I told her that I was going to go to the Superman celebration. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to go as well. So this was we were going to meet up in that year anyway, but we were like, yeah, let's go and meet here. So as well as going to Metropolis to visit this fantastic celebration, I also had the excitement and sort of not fear, because I knew that this was the girl I was meant to meet. I was going to meet her there. So I had a doubly exciting time at the first time going to Superman celebration. And the biggest regret I had was not going there sooner, because I was picked up. It's a small place. It's a very small town. So there's no...
Just to clarify, this is in Metropolis, Illinois.
Illinois.
Okay.
So a little place called Paducah. Yeah. So I had to fly into Chicago and get a tiny little jet that I wasn't used to. That was very fun and bumpy, into Paducah, where I was met by Chad, who works at the local hotel, and he picked me up and he took us both back, and it became like a second home after 2 days of being there. I got to see the celebration start up from being nothing at all, just a Superman museum and that epic Superman statue, to seeing this town just start getting busier and busier, and thousands upon thousands of people arrived. And one morning I was having breakfast, which is now my favorite meal of the day, thanks to America. Whether it be pancakes or grits or biscuits. Biscuits here are something completely different.
They're like cookies, right?
Well, that's it. You would have biscuits and tea. You would dunk your bean. That confused me a lot. But Chad had reached out to one of the local newspapers and news agencies. And he said, tomorrow morning, there's going to be some press here filming for the celebration. Would you like to go and be interviewed? And again, the blogger inside me said yes, before I even thought about the gut-wrenching anxiety that I would get the next morning, because I thought it was just being recorded. And I thought, if I make a mistake, I can go back and do it again.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, it's live television. It's going out first thing in the morning. So that was fun. But I felt honored to be there. I felt honored to be embraced by the people of Metropolis. So it wasn't a case of me being invited out there. It was me wanting to experience it for myself and get an idea of what the celebration was to Superman fans from around the world. And people say it's a Comic-Con. It's got aspects of a Comic-Con. Yeah. There are comics for sale there. There are traders there. But this truly is just a celebration of Superman, whether it being going around the museum and just seeing thousands of items from the Superman's history, or just walking down a street and seeing literally thousands of Superman T-shirts.
Yeah.
It was a surreal moment, but one that I will never forget.
When you guys were there, Mike from Cape Justice Jewelry, he was posting a lot of stuff. I know you guys met up there. Was that the first time you meeting Mike in person as well?
It was, yes. Yeah. So I met Mike this year at a 2019 celebration, but we've been Instagram buddies for a long time. First of all, because somebody introduced me to his pins, which I fell in love with. And I've almost made me bankrupt a few times because he just keeps on releasing new stuff. And he was thinking about going this year to the 2019 celebration. And he did. And so again, I went there the first year, met my girlfriend, went the second year and met somebody who I consider to be one of my best friends. Mike has just got such a charm and confidence about him that you can't help sucking out of him. He's made me feel really confident over the years, and he's just such a good guy. So I met him. He said he was in the area, and I saw him walk down the street. And Mike is like hard to miss. He's an extremely tall guy.
Yeah.
And we had a fantastic time out there.
We my first meeting with Mike, I actually did we did a local show, and Mike was in the booth next to us, and we just had the greatest time at that. It was a 2-day show. And me, Mike, and the other gentleman I was doing the Jimbo Slice, we had so much fun together. Cracking jokes and just having a good time. And I started following Mike more, and when he posted about the celebration, I was intrigued. Like I'd also heard about it too, but I never really knew anything about it. He described it as kind of like a festival more than anything else. And he's like, there's a lot of cool stuff here, but there's a lot of stuff that can be improved upon. And I was like, listen, tell me what's happening. I want to get more involved. I'd like to go next year myself. And anything you need, let me know, and I want to make this the best show it can be, because it's it's a show in celebration of probably the first and in my opinion the greatest superhero ever created. We'd get a little bit of argument from some of the other gentlemen here, but yeah,
But that's
Not
it. There's always
today.
going to be like
yeah.
Superman fans out there, but it grabbed a hold of me the first time I went, and I knew that I would be back. And the first time I was there, I was invited to the local Rotary Club to give a speech. And again, that was something that was out of my comfort zone, but something that I wanted to do as to say thanks to Chad for all the help that he'd given me over the year, for the advice and the tips. And I met friends there, sort of that are friends for life now. And the second year going back, I think it was about 2 weeks before I had thought everything was planned out. Cases were packed. I knew what I was taking to get signed by the stars that were going to be there. And so 2018, Brandon Routh was there, which was phenomenal. That was a fantastic moment, meeting him, meeting his mum and dad, visiting his Q&A panel. And so that year I was pretty much, for that panel, I was sitting front row because I wanted to hear everything that he said. And when I went back in 2019, I was on the stage interviewing Erica Durance and Helen Slater. And
I saw that. That was awesome.
That was a moment that I almost like an out of body experience, because it wasn't me on that stage. Again, I had those feelings of anxiety and nervousness that I had when I was interviewing Zachary Levi, but on a much bigger scale, because the Q&A panel on the Saturday is one of their biggest events, which they were kind enough to tell me in the email when they said, when they asked me to do it, because it was one of those say yes and worry about the details later. But I planned, and knowing that the people in Metropolis had belief in me that I could do it helped me out a great deal. Having pep talks from Mike and my girlfriend Maureen, who were both there front and center, telling me to breathe and go slowly, it honestly helped me do it. And
Enunciate again, right?
Enunciate, that's it. And an even bigger factor in that situation was the fact that ever since I saw Erica on Smallville, I had like the world's biggest crush on her. So I had those nerves to put, and that's it. I got to meet her just before the panel at her autograph signing session, and sort of we had a quick chat, and sort of said, "Look, I'm going to be hosting your Q&A in a minute," and she was excited. She said, "Oh, you're English?" I was like, "Thank you so much." People have been calling me Australian since I got here. So, and then we had a photograph, and then I met Helen, and Helen was an absolute sweetheart. She was actually there in the morning when I got like no sleep at all. I forced myself to have breakfast in the hotel restaurant, and I was sitting with Maureen in a booth trying to remain calm, and she was doing a fantastic job of going through my questions, telling me when to slow down and when to change things. And all of a sudden I was starting to feel calm, and then her face just stopped and looked at the doorway because Helen Slater walked in behind me. And she freaked out because she didn't think she was going to sort of be so excited to see her, but she was like, "Don't turn around." Helen Slater's there. I was like, "Oh my God." But what made me more calm in that situation was I heard Helen speak to the waitresses in the restaurant, and she had such a lovely and polite demeanor when taking her orders and speaking with them that I was thinking, okay, she's a good person. I can relax a little bit now. But asking them questions on that stage in front of all those Superman fans was a fantastic moment. Very surreal. But again, one of those moments in my career that when all this ends one day, whenever that may be, I can look back and remember the day that I was on a stage with Supergirl and Lois Lane.
That's pretty cool. We JJ and I got a chance to meet Helen Slater How long ago was that? 2 years
It was
ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah, she was really nice. We took photos with her and everything, and it was she squeezed JJ a little closer than me. I was jealous, but it's
We all get those feelings of jealousy. I think Mike was at New York Comic Con last year, and he saw Terry Hatcher,
Oh man.
a lowest that I've not met yet. And he sent me the photograph straight away where he's leaning over her desk and she's stroking his massive forearm. Okay, don't rub it in. Let it be there, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Who do you want to meet that you haven't yet met?
So I've met a few people from Smallville. So John Schneider was at the London Film and Comic Con last year, and he was my favourite Pa Kent. So we had a fantastic moment where I gave him a letter. We hugged it out. We took some selfies, and later on, he sent me a private message to my Facebook page, and I freaked out about that. So we have a little chat every now and again. Hopefully, one day, I'll get him onto the podcast. But I'm happy to meet any person that has written for Superman, drawn Superman, done something to keep the story of my superhero alive. Even if they're just passing in the street, I want to thank them. It may not be a big deal for them that they said a few lines to a Superman on set, but for me, they're a part of the reason why I love Superman. So I'm very big on shaking hands with people. I know it's quite an archaic thing to do, but if I were to get a shake of my hand at work for a job well done, it means something to me. So for me to be able to shake Tom Welling's hand or shake Zachary Levi's hand to say thank you for what you've done for the Superman legacy, that for me is worth more than any autograph or selfie or signed photograph. So I shook Henry Cavill's hand when he was on the red carpet for Batman v Superman, and that was one of my greatest handshakes to date because I feel that it was meant to happen. I was there in the pen with everybody else. This was before the Geek still took over my life, and he was walking along a very busy red carpet, and I am all fingers and thumbs. So when it comes to taking selfies in a rush, it did not work. So I put the phone down and just tried to live in the moment. And Henry Cavill walked past, and I gave him one of my hats to sign. And in that moment, I said to him, Mr. Cavill, thank you very much for all you've done for Superman. And he stopped, came back, and shook my hand for like a second and said thank you. And I didn't get it on camera. And I was like, no, people will not believe this story ever happened.
No.
But it was being live streamed around the world. And at the very moment he shook my hand, it was on camera on YouTube. So I went home and screenshot that photograph as much as I can to prove that it actually did happen.
Fantastic.
Have you washed your hand yet?
What's that, sorry?
Have you washed your hand yet?
I've not, I have, yes. It's been like 2.5 years. Sorry.
I would do the same. He was really a pleasant guy too. It's nice not only have these great portrayals, but also to have a great person behind them as well.
Oh, sorry, you've cut off a bit there.
Oh. I'm sorry. I said I got to meet him briefly too, and it's nice to not only have someone do a great portrayal, but also be like a great person as well, like Henry was.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're still a little bit quiet there, guys.
Oh, did you mess with something there,
Oh,
JJ?
there you go.
I didn't mess with anything.
Okay.
You're back in the
We're
room.
back. All right.
Okay.
All right. It could have just been the distance there. I think we're good.
Yeah, it's a long way. So again, I've noticed that with the podcast is sometimes distance can be an issue. Had a podcast with Japan a few weeks back, which was a
Wow.
little bit problematic, but we got there in the end. And they're in Australia. It seems I have to call up people on the other side of the world to have a decent chat about it.
Well, this is our first international one. We appreciate
Yeah.
you joining us
I'm
for
honoured.
it.
When
Yeah.
You asked me a few weeks back, and I was like, yes, I want to get on the podcast. That sounds fantastic. Thank you, please.
Yes. Any chance to talk about this geek stuff, we're always up for. I definitely want to have a conversation more with you and Mike about Superman Celebration and what we can do. I'd really like to go this year. Are you planning on attending again?
You know, it's going to be good. It's
Yeah.
good.
Excellent.
Okay, you're going quiet again there. Every time you mention the word Superman, your microphone goes down.
Oh, does it?
I think you've been jinxed.
How about now?
There we go. Now we
All
go.
right,
Just
well,
don't move.
I
Just
think
don't
maybe
move.
he's just very excited. And
What I
gets
was
quiet.
saying was I would like to have more conversations with you and Mike about the Superman celebration, and see get more involved with that. Are you planning on going again this year?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm always willing to talk more about the Superman celebration.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, I've got this. I don't want to go back each year and do something bigger and better. That's not what I'm about. As
Mhm.
long as I'm going somewhere and sharing my love for positivity and Superman at the same time, then I will go anywhere. Whether it be,
Absolutely.
Timbuktu or just down the road at the local pub.
As
I
long
will
as they have
talk
a
to
Superman con, we'll go.
That's it. That's the template of it, yeah. So definitely want to go back to Superman celebration and keep going back for as long as they will have me.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep talking about that because me and Mike have some ideas about stuff we can do there
Sounds intriguing.
to bring an influx of interest into the event.
That's it. I mean, people out there don't really know what's going on, but the more that people know about it is the busier that it can get and the more fun it can be as well.
Exactly.
So, Luke, what's next for the Geek of Steel?
See, there's always the next thing, isn't it? What's you've done this, you've been there. What is next for the Geek of Steel? At the moment, I am really enjoying the podcast. It's something that's fallen into my lap, something that I've thought about doing for a while, and it's really been a project of passion. And getting moments like this, or sitting down and talking with Mike or Jonathan Bell, the Seattle Superman, and over hopefully the next few weeks, I've got some, let's say, some very interesting guests coming on. I don't want to jinx it yet by saying anything, but it should be a lot of fun that I'm very nervous about. I was nervous about this one,
We'll have
but
to keep our eyes out.
please do, because when it does happen, don't worry, I will be screaming it across the internet.
Awesome.
I'm subscribed to yours as well, so I'll be.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Of course, I got it.
But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the podcast. It's the interesting thing about blogging is that it can go quiet for a while, and then out of nowhere, everything will come at once.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've got the day job, so I've got to balance between the two. So I normally have Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays off for my day job. The day job of me being, I'm an optical advisor. So I sell, repair glasses and teach people how to use contact lenses. So there's a very slight reference to Clark Kent and Superman somewhere. But I've got to really work my time well. So today, before the podcast, I wanted to make sure that everything was done. So I filmed 3 unboxing videos and managed to edit those in time. Plan 2 articles, 2 videos, 1 podcast, plan a trip to London Comic Con, and then I had about half an hour downtime before I spoke with you lovely guys.
Wow.
That's a pretty productive day.
And where was the
That's it,
partridge
it
in
was
the
a good
pear
day.
tree?
That was it. It's close to the partridge in the pear tree, but I don't feel that it's work when I'm enjoying it so much.
Exactly.
Right.
So the missus often says, make sure you hydrate and eat, because there are moments when I will just forget to eat if I'm really in a moment of
Yeah.
emailing or writing an article or editing a video. I won't stop. So every now and again, I will say to Maureen, count down 1 hour, and then I'll go outside and breathe human air for the first time. So, but when it's a project of passion, when you're wanting or willing and being open to the universe to, work for you, I never feel tired. I never feel stressed out. And when those moments do happen, I take a step back and I look at you'll appreciate this, my wall of weird in front of me, where I've got my very first amateurish business card. I've got my autograph from Zachary Levi, or I've got a ticket stub from when I went to see Aquaman, and I've got to the side a photograph of a bus stop in England that had the Aquaman poster on it and my movie review blurb and my name underneath it.
That's
Moments
pretty cool.
like that make me realize the opportunities that have come my way and the opportunities that are out there when you are willing to put yourself into new situations and push those boundaries.
That's great. It's inspiring to see people do that. If you're passionate enough about something, you can really make it happen.
That's it. And when the passion is not there, I mean, as I said, 2018 was the year I said yes to every situation. 2019 was the year I decided to say yes, but also no in a way. By not taking on every single job, I can dedicate more time and passion to the jobs that I want to see work for me. It's that comfort of knowing that you're able to, yes, you could make a video or an unboxing video for this company, but if I don't have faith in them as a blogger, then I wouldn't have faith in them if I was a customer. So I'm not willing to share that with my followers who I've, over the years, in a way, I've built up a relationship of trust and integrity. And I don't want to lose that just by receiving some free junk to promote a company that I don't believe in.
I agree with you 100%.
Have you seen that little statue of Superman in crypto?
Now, here's the thing. I've seen it in person, the good one.
Yeah.
And you've seen
And
the
I've
one that
seen
makes the
every
rounds.
other one.
Yeah.
And
Another
it,
one.
it was heartbreaking to see. Just like if I see a copy of The Death of Superman, I have to buy it. If I see something crypto related, it just tugs at my heartstrings in a completely different way.
Yep.
And when I saw that statue, credit card came out and I was about to order it. And then people saying, oh, well, my one came and it looks a little bit different. I was like, yeah, they've been like thrown in acid or something, because that is not the same statue. So yeah, I quite would like to own one to sort of have as a unique item that never gets shown to the public. But that was heartbreaking.
Who wants
for
to tell the
people that
story?
spent money.
So we do a gift swap every Christmas, and
Oh.
it's like a white elephant, they call it, or like
Yeah,
a
so it's like you can
Yankee
steal
swap.
from other people and stuff like that within the game. So everyone brings like art or comics. If you want to come to the States this December, you're more than
Oh,
welcome.
that sounds great.
So one of the gag gifts included was someone had ordered that statue for, I don't even know how
Thinking
much
it would be
was.
nice, of course.
Thinking maybe it might be
Oh,
nice despite the
awful.
price, but now it's like it's the joke that every Christmas someone's gonna wind up with that thing.
Yeah,
it's
so
just
it's
gonna
gonna
make the
circulate
rounds.
around.
Whoever winds up with it has it
Yeah.
for a year and then packs it up with the next year's stuff.
Don't, because I feel that thing's cursed.
The-
if you
the-
got it for the year, bad things will happen.
The current recipient has it on his work desk currently, and we told him you have to display it on your work desk until next year.
That's
So whoever gets
awful.
it next year will have to display it as well.
Oh,
And we know it's on his desk.
Yeah, he actually works for JJ's wife, so we know it's there.
It has to stay there. You can't move it off.
No.
Otherwise, you have it 2 years.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point. We should do that. Oh man, but Luke, we want to thank you again. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about, so we'll probably do this again. I think we might even want to bring Mike on it next time to, maybe focus more on the celebration
It's
side
a
of it.
risky combination. We've done 2 podcasts together before.
Yeah.
And they've been over 2 hours long. When we start chatting,
I
it's
kn-
a little bit raucous.
Yeah, we might just have to have a phone conversation then, and then focus on what we want to talk about.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure for having you on. I could literally talk for hours more. But if we do come on together with Mike, he has to tell you the story about the morning when I suited him up.
Oh yes,
boy.
I've heard it, but I want the listeners to hear it separately. So that'll be the continuation, but the part 2 for all our listeners.
Consider me intrigued.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Luke. Great success with all the Geek of Steel stuff, and we'll talk to you again for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, you just cut off again.
Oh
no.
no!
Oh,
All right.
no.
All right, someone else say it this time.
Can you hear us now?
Slowly coming back.
Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
Can you
No.
hear? Can you hear me
Oh, no.
now?
Good?
Nope.
No?
no.
Oh no,
Okay.
what happened?
Nothing.
How about now?
I don't
All right.
even
Slowly
How-
coming back.
How about now?
Keep coming.
I don't even hear myself.
I don't even know what we're doing.
I don't even hear myself.
What
No.
happened?
There we go. Slowly coming back again.
Oh.
Just slowly?
It's probably Skype doing something.
It could be. You sound perfect.
All right, you do it then.
All right, so thank you very much for being with us today. And I don't know. I was trying to.
No, it's. Look, I will say it. when I get the chance to speak with people whose passions go more than just writing an Instagram post or a tweet, the people that write the articles, the people that make the videos, the people who come together in their free time, like you guys are doing, to talk about the passions that make them happy, I get so much enjoyment out of that. So this, for me, coming on, speaking with four guys in a room, pretty much on the other side of the world.
Which is pretty cool.
This is my happy place.
Yeah.
We're across
This
the
is
pond.
enjoyment when I see other people being happy. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks
I
for-
hope you can hear me.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we can hear you. Can
We,
you?
There
we can
go.
hear
Ah,
you.
look.
All right.
For a
Right.
split second.
There
But
you go.
honestly, I will gladly come back on whenever you want me to
We
come
can't
on
wait.
and have a chat.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you, Luke, for that awesome interview.
It's cool because you can. He mentioned it while we were having the interview. You can see like, you can feel his passion for the stuff
Yeah.
and the genuineness that he has about what he's talking about. It doesn't really surprise me at all that he's had the success he's had with what he's done because he is so passionate and feels so strongly about all these characters. It also does help him that his girlfriend lives across the pond. So if that was the case, I would be much more active too. A little jealous there. Sorry, Luke. But yeah, awesome interview.
Yes,
We will. I'm sure you will hear from him again.
He's got a cool accent too.
he
yeah.
does. I love British accents.
That's the worst thing about America that we lost from that war is they have the cool accent.
And they're so proper too. Like,
Yeah.
his whole thing about the letters, the handwriting letters.
I love
I
that.
thought that was pretty.
I'm not
cool.
gonna lie, I might steal that.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I was going to
did
steal
like
the
that.
biscuits, but
I like it, yeah.
No, he likes our biscuits better.
yeah, I don't blame him. I like biscuits too.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have biscuits tonight. I'm just kidding.
Cool.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
You want to talk about what we've been reading and watching? Because I think it's been a while since.
Oh, cool. I don't remember what I.
Because we did the New York Comic Con thing last week, so it's been a while.
Oh jeez.
A week.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
at
do
this
it.
point.
No, I think Toy Story should start it off.
Sure.
I think he should too, and I
Sure.
think Zach Bojo should start next, and then you, and then me.
You can call me whatever. It's fine.
All right,
Nice.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Sally, let's go.
All right. So we
Just
when,
don't call him Susan.
when you went to pick up your Mirka Andolfo Wonder Woman at New York Comic Con, I was just looking through some of her art.
Oh, are
her
you
art.
talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You did get art from her, correct?
I did. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah. I know. So I was just looking through some of her art, and I was like, I got to read Unnatural. I have them all.
Did you read it?
I read like I've gotten like 4 issues through.
Is it
It's the art's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
she's super
awesome.
talented. I
Yeah.
love her work.
Yeah, and the story's very like fantasy like. So, and I think it's really cool. But I'm enjoying it so far.
I'm not gonna lie. I've only read the first issue. I really enjoyed it, but
Mhm.
I don't have it digitally, so
Yeah,
I think I bought the first issues at Midtown when they first.
I
came
think
out.
I
the art is
have-
worth it by itself. But
like all the issues that came out in the regular variants.
it's kind of cool because you could tell it's translated from Italian, like in some spots, because they like use phrases that Americans wouldn't say.
Yeah,
Alright,
But
that's
it's just cool to see. But apparently it came out a few years ago, and it's only like just coming out now in the States through Image.
Oh, I didn't
So-
know that.
Yeah, it's a couple years old.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
Huh.
Oh, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna, yeah, like that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Where like books are done in other countries and
Yeah.
they're translated after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm totally blanking on his name. Black Sad is like that. It's I think it's in Spanish first and then they translate it.
Well, I feel like so many of the books are done the other way. Every once in a while, it
Yeah.
should be expected to.
Wow,
100%.
right, Black Sad's awesome. Off track.
It is. So I read that, and I'm in the middle of Death of the Family right now, which I haven't read since it came out. But it's all I forgot how great that story is. I don't know if you guys have read it. I'm sure
Are you
Jack
talking
I've
has.
read parts of it,
The New 52, Death of the
The
Family.
Death of the Family. Yeah, I have read that.
5-part story.
Yeah.
It was so good.
but it's a lot though. I mean, are you reading?
It's only 5 issues.
He's not reading the tie-ins.
But yeah,
No,
there's
no,
a
no.
lot of tie-ins.
Just
and
like
all
what
that.
everyone should do when an event comes out. Don't
Yeah.
read the tie-ins.
Don't spoil that.
I've gotten better about that.
Yeah.
No, great story though. Snyder and Capullo at the top of their game, I think at least. You know.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what I've been reading, watching. I watched the new Breaking Bad movie, El Camino.
Oh, that came out already?
Yeah, it came out yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, yesterday, 2 days ago, Friday.
Where?
Whatever
On,
that
on
was.
what?
Netflix.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. It picks up
Sure.
right at the end of the series.
So do you have to watch the series to understand it?
Yeah.
No, that's great.
It's essentially, yeah. Has anybody here watched it?
no.
No. Okay, what?
I saw the first season of Breaking Bad.
I watched
and it
a
was
little
great.
bit.
You watched
My
the worst
wife
season
watched
of
the whole
Breaking
thing,
Bad.
and I
What?
kind of
You watched the
saw
worst
bits and
season
pieces.
of Breaking Bad.
It was really good.
3, 4, and 5 is better.
I
Yeah.
believe it.
Anyway,
but
just briefly, it takes place right
There's
where
5 seasons.
yeah 5.
Yeah, I'm still not watching it.
They're
It
not
takes-
that long.
It takes place right where the show ended.
It's really good. I didn't want. I watched it while Steph was watching it, but I think you'd like it.
This
a
is
lot.
essentially a 2-hour epilogue. Fantastic. A lot of returning characters. I won't spoil anything, but yeah, really enjoying
I just want to know, is Bryan Cranston still alive?
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa,
whoa, whoa,
whoa, you
whoa,
can't-
whoa,
can't do
whoa,
that.
whoa,
It's too soon after
whoa,
it came out, I can't
whoa,
say anything.
whoa. You gotta wait a little while.
He's
bud.
dead.
You're the worst.
All right, moving on. I also saw Joker earlier this week. None of you have seen it, right?
No,
Are you going to?
eventually.
I'm gonna wait till it comes out.
Oh,
I'm not
really?
gonna see it in the theater.
Okay, interesting.
Mm.
What about you, Bojo?
Oh, I want to see it, but I've seen one movie in theaters this year, so I wouldn't.
Right, we just talked about that.
Yeah,
forgot.
I don't expect that. I don't expect me to go see it in theaters.
Nice.
Maybe if I can find my gift card from Christmas, then the answer is
I'll probably see
hard
it in
maybe.
theater. I don't know when though.
All right, if you want to go, let me know.
ooh.
Why did you set this up originally?
You guys didn't want to see it.
That's not true.
You didn't
I noticed
express
that you went with
interest.
Jeff though.
He
You
asked me
didn't
to go
tell
see it.
us.
What?
Yeah, because the only reason I found out is because I saw the Venmo transaction.
Are you kidding?
We did.
You went with Jeff without even before you went with us.
I
Yeah,
apologize,
yeah,
guys.
he did. All right, so talk about the movie because I have a
I don't wanna
response
go
to.
Jeff's
You
getting
have a
fired.
response?
I'm
So-
gonna make sure
so-
Jeff gets fired.
So you don't
Jeff-
have to talk about specifics. I guess just go into a little more detail on kind of like what you posted. I guess like a spoiler-less review.
spoiler list review. All right, that's difficult.
Okay.
If you're looking for something like action-packed, good guy versus the bad guy, everything we've seen before in all the Marvel movies and most of the DC movies, this is not it. You're not gonna like it.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2 hours of exposition, dialogue, and build-up, and breaking down a character to their bare bones.
Hmm.
If you like that kind of stuff, you'll go crazy. But if
Is this cinema?
I think Scorsese would classify this as cinema.
I think
of
Scorsese was
of
actually in
course he
line to
would.
direct it.
Was he?
I think originally he was
Wow.
rumored to direct this
Oh,
movie.
so that's why.
Maybe
so
that's why he's
upset.
pissed.
Yeah.
Nah,
Could be.
maybe. I
So-
don't know.
So I want to add my 2 cents on this, and the thing that I'm eventually going to go see it, and I'm sure his portrayal is fantastic. And I'm not saying it's a bad movie. The thing that bothers me about this, what's his name in the movie? Arthur, right?
Arthur Fleck.
Okay. So I guarantee you, this movie could have, with certain tweaks here and there, this movie could have probably been called Arthur, right? Have no ties in any way to the DC universe,
Yes.
and still been a good movie, right? He
Yes.
probably still would get the same nomination.
Yes.
But the thing that bothers me is that they throw this tag on it, the Joker. They throw names in like Gotham City, Thomas Wayne, Wayne Manor, and they do all that to try and sell more tickets.
It wasn't a throw-in though.
But you're saying like so this movie
Think-
couldn't
think
stand
about it.
outside of the DC universe?
It could. It wouldn't make like much sense because of everything they've.
So you're saying that it is necessary for it to be part of the DC
It
universe?
fits. Yes, definitely.
Okay, but it couldn't have been made without it.
I'm sure it could have been made. Yeah.
And that's my issue with it. So I feel
Why is
like
that an issue though?
because it's they're using comic books to try and sell this movie when it's not necessarily a comic book movie. And I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy the movie. I don't like when they try to disguise something as something else.
Why?
I don't think that's
why
what
do,
they're doing though.
Why do
Okay.
comic book movies all have to be spectacle?
Yeah.
What's that?
Why can't we have a quiet movie like this or a more character driven?
It doesn't. It's not
You
that
could
it has
say-
to be spectacle. I feel like this is more of an issue
Yeah, but
movie
you could say the same thing
than
about.
it is. From what I've heard,
You could say the same thing about a Joker 6-issue miniseries.
Whoa.
what do you mean?
It could easily be if it's like something self-confined. Batman doesn't have to be in it. Nobody else has to be in it, but it could still take place in the same city with the same everything.
Right, but in that thing, you would get more on the Joker. I feel like this is kind of a cheap ripoff of just using the name to sell tickets, and that I could be wrong, but I think this movie was made specifically. They came up with the idea like I have this idea for this movie. It'll address all these things that are happening in the world, and we're gonna throw this name on it to get more people to see it. That's my only issue with it, and I don't. And again, it's probably a really good movie. I'm sure his performance is outstanding because he's an outstanding actor. The thing that bothers me when they do stuff about this is kind of using the popularity of the time of our time right now to kind of sell more tickets, almost like kind of combating with Scorsese is saying is just like, oh, we need to go back to cinema. Like, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to disguise what classically is described as cinema by throwing this name on there and getting more people to see it.
Is it a bad thing if people wind up seeing it? And
I don't think so.
Yearning for other pictures like it, and
Yeah,
then
think about it.
therefore
We've never gotten a movie about a villain before.
I want Batman is Crazy movie.
Batman is crazy.
I want a movie where Batman is just as like, I don't know if this guy is really a hero. Like, I desperately want like a Batman who's not a superhero. I want a Batman who's like,
and I'm not saying that it can't be that. I'm just saying that I think that they're using that. Like, so if you would see that, I was like, that's fine. Like, they can do this story. I don't think the intention of making this movie was to make a really good Joker movie. I think the intention they had of making this was going off and saying, hey, we're going to make this movie. It's going to be about this, this, and this. And we're going to get people to see it by saying the movie's called Joker. And he's in Gotham City and he's doing all this stuff. And from what I've heard, it's mostly focused on mental illness, correct?
Yes.
There's a great focus on that. And it's an issue that should be spoken about. I just don't like the kind of like, I don't know what I can't think of the word that I'm trying to use right now, but
preachiness.
No, it's not preaching. I understand that they are kind of trying to preach in this, and it's a valid thing that probably needs to be preached about a little bit. I don't like kind of like the underhandedness of disguising it as something else.
What other character would be better to do this with? Like, isn't it a
valid
valid character? Isn't this a good one?
Right.
Is this an actual Joker though in a Batman world though? I mean,
so it takes
supposed
place
to
in
be.
Gotham City.
Right, I
Thomas
understand
Wayne's a
that.
character. Like,
I understand that.
What do you mean? Is this an actual Joker?
But
is this the Joker?
is this the Joker?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Jack Nicholson wasn't the Joker when he did it. Heath Ledger wasn't the Joker when he did it. Those were all original portrayals, based loosely on what was going on in the comics.
Jack Nicholson just basically played himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger completely invented something new.
And it's not my problem isn't the interpretation. My problem is the message of the movie is being hidden by the name.
It's definitely not hidden.
I think you're getting hung up on something you don't need to get hung up on.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just the way I feel. I think it was done purposely. I think it was premeditatedly. They decided they wanted to make this movie. I don't think originally it had anything to do with the Joker, and then they decided that this should be made using the Joker name.
I think that Warner Brothers just needed a win in the movie theater.
Yeah.
I think they were like, we have been trying to do this, fitting a round peg into a square hole, and it's not working. It's not working. Let's just try anything.
I know you're extremely against this, but I am all for the
Worlds of DC. Is that what it's called? That's what it's called.
What is that?
Worlds of DC is like, instead of having the DC cinematic universe, the DC extended universe, whatever they were calling it, like the Worlds of DC is like hey, we're going to make a bunch of movies and they're not necessarily related, but they're all DC Comics characters.
And every creator is having their own say in it.
Yeah, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I already get the cinematic universe thing with Marvel. I don't need that again.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so excited for this movie. I wanted something different. I don't want to see another Marvel movie in DC. That's just me.
I'm really excited for the new Gunn Suicide Squad.
I am too.
Really excited for it.
I think the problem is that people got that for so long. You can't go in and give them everything they wanted and then pull it back.
What do you mean, like try and do a universe?
So, listen, like if they want to do standalone movies outside of this, I think that's fine formula. But they can't Marvel can't come out, Disney or whatever you want to say, and say, hey, all these things you've read in comic books that you've always wished you could have. Like, we heard them actually touch on this when we went to the Stan Lee thing, which we probably should have talked about tonight, but we'll touch on that real quickly. That you read these comic books and you get to see Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and all. Like, an actual comic book fan, it's like, yeah, you have a 6-part Joker series, that's great, but when you're reading a Batman comic book, the most popular, most selling Batman comic books are when Joker's involved with the Batman. I was like,
but they're doing that too,
right? If they want to do these standalones in addition, I'm fine with that. But to have no interconnected world
I don't
within
think
the
there needs
DC
to be
universe,
at all, though.
I think you're wrong.
You could do a Batman movie with Joker.
No one owes me anything.
No one owes me anything, and there's no.
I think
Just
think
because
that's
Marvel's works
I
doesn't
think
mean
that's
it's
a
going to work
small
for DC.
pool of
No.
people that thinks that.
No one owes me
probably right,
anything.
but-
I'm
not
probably
saying-
you're probably right. I'm probably of a very small minority here, but I don't. No one owes me. No one's forcing me and putting a gun to my head to go see any movie. I don't have to see the new Star Wars movie, right? We're totally getting off track. Of what we originally started about.
It's not that
But like,
I'm not
no one's
saying
no
anyone's
one's making.
forcing you.
No one has to make a movie for me. There's so much content being produced right now that there is
You can
so
pick and
much
choose what
content
you
that I
want.
can watch that is for me.
If you want the big cinematic action-packed
So
whatevers, go see
maybe
Marvel
after
movies.
having been so negative about Birds of Prey, maybe that's just not a movie for me, and
Yeah,
that's
and that's
also
fine.
okay. I'm off the high horse, so I can say this, but like, it's okay if it's a good movie and some people find some value in it, and maybe
I'm
someone.
trying to get into the habit of not saying a movie's bad. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get into the habit of saying I don't like it. It's not for me.
It's not for me.
And that's
Exactly.
fair. There's
No
nothing
one
wrong
has
with
to
that.
make movies for me. If maybe Joker's not a movie for you.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that it won't be a movie for me. I'm not saying that I don't enjoy it. I don't like the kind of dressing it in something else
Oh.
and trying to present it to you.
A
type
wolf
thing.
in sheep's clothes.
Exactly, and that's what I
Are
feel
you
like
try-
this
are
movie.
you
is.
telling me that the Joker, this movie's put on makeup and a costume and dressed itself up as something else?
It
We have to
has.
end on this.
It has.
Good ending. All right, done.
Sorry.
I'm not done.
We'll talk more when you see it.
You're done. My dumbbell.
All right, moving on. Who wants to talk next?
Dumbbell. That's pretty fun.
Dumbbell, nice.
I guess I'll
Yeah, go.
oh yeah, you've heard from me.
His head is just I could see it.
I just think you guys are wrong. I think they're going to continue. I think this is a one-off and it'll do well. I think if they keep this formula up, it's not going to do well for them.
And
Like,
that's okay.
That's fine.
Warner
got
Brothers
a great
doesn't
job
have a
with
great
it,
track
but-
record. Period.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Like just
Outside
in
of
general.
DC, right?
Not like even outside of DC, I don't think they have a great track record. Like there's a reason Superman Lives was canceled in like the late '90s, and it was because they had a series of duds. Because I think a lot of the time they don't market their movies well. They have too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean, Green Lantern could have been a great movie if they just didn't make it by committee. Sorry, I'm getting off track.
All right, so
All
Matt.
right, we'll move on
Yeah.
officially now. I said my piece.
Okay,
Anyway.
Matt, are you? What else?
Are you done?
Were you
Yeah,
done?
that's okay. We're done talking about it.
You don't want to talk about Dead Eyes 3?
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to.
Oh, that's a
So,
new thing.
Yeah, that's a new thing Mr. Davina had. So I'm looking forward to. I don't know if you guys know Dead Eyes.
So it was
Um,
originally Dead Rabbits, right? Is this the
yes.
one that had to change their name?
Yep. So 1 and 2 they're re-releasing last month and this month or something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
And number 3 is going to be the first issue of new original content coming out in December, I think. via
Nice.
Image Comics. So I'm very excited for that.
Is this Jerry Duggan?
Yes.
Jerry Duggan, and who's doing the artwork on
I
that?
don't remember. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Yeah, it's good though.
It looked interesting. I like their logo for Dead Rabbits when I saw the logo for Dead
It's
Rabbits.
real good. Yeah,
Okay.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Cool.
Cool. Zach, go for it.
All right. Reading. I've been really busy as of late, which is why I've been missing off the past, I think, 3 episodes. But I've caught up on a few things like the Doomsday Clock. I've read most of House of X and Powers of 10. I really enjoyed those. And I caught up on the most recent issues of the King's Batman run. I already talked about Doomsday Clock before, so I'm not going to go into it. But I do think that someone had an idea or wrote an article about this online, and I think I wholeheartedly agree with it, that I think King's run has hit like a weird slump because he's basically treading water until Doomsday Clock is done. With like some of their like the extra universal characters like Thomas Wayne, like Flashpoint Batman being in it, like not supposed to be there. The fact that like, you know, Clark's father is back, Jor-El is in the Superman titles, and you know, Batman's got his dad showing up in the recent issues of Batman. I think all this stuff kind of ties together to Doomsday Clock. So I think he's kind of treading water a little bit, and it seems like he's finally, with the City of Bane, kind of going towards a conclusion. So it's moving more so in the right direction. His Nightmares arc, I was not a huge fan of. But like the most recent issues are a little bit better. His run's not for everyone, and that's okay. Watching wise, I started watching Mindhunter season 2. Like, I'm behind on everything.
I watched episode 1.
You know,
only, but
I watched
it
the
was really good.
first 3. Episode 2, I think they interview Son of Sam, and like the guy who plays Son of Sam like is uncannily like
Oh my
looks like the guy. It's weird.
That is awesome.
weird.
Really cool series. If you haven't watched it, it's about the FBI's behavioral science unit. I've been catching up with the new season of South Park. I don't actually have TV, so I watch everything like after the fact.
Hulu,
So,
it's on Hulu. Like day
yeah,
of,
it's
though, right?
it's
Or
ho-
day
it's
of.
on Hulu
You
day
mean
after.
you don't have TV or you don't have cable?
I don't have cable.
Okay.
I have a TV. I have a really nice TV actually, but no, I've been watching stuff like after the fact. So streaming services are where I'm at. I've been keeping up with the new South Park season, which has been a lot of fun. And Abstract just dropped a new season on Netflix. Has nothing to do with comics, but it's all about art. And that's me getting back on my design high horse. I love it.
Cool.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Hickman's X-Men stuff after House of X, Powers of 10, because it's really cool. It totally betrays the spirit of like the X-Men and like the whole like, hey, we're gonna coexist peacefully with humans. But I think for a storyline that, knowing Hickman, it's probably gonna go on for like 5 years. But like, it's a cool direction for the title. And if you haven't been like reading the House of X, Powers of 10 stuff, look into it. It's really interesting. Maybe it's not for everyone. Once again, no one's making stuff for everything. But I'm a long-time lapsed X-Men fan, and I think it's really cool. And I'm also cautiously optimistic for the new Donny Cates Thor. That's like just announced,
Nice.
coming out at the end of the year. I think it picks up after Aaron finishes his King Thor miniseries. Donny Cates has been pretty cool on Marvel books. I really liked the beginning of his Venom series, but I just stopped reading it, not because it wasn't good, but just because I needed to cut back at the time.
I'm actually reading those now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, at the beginning. So, are you done? Are you got more?
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
great segue to what TC's reading.
Yeah. So I'm continuing to read a lot of the old X-Men stuff. I'm in April of 1994.
Power to you, man.
X-Force, the X-Men title, Uncanny. I mean, some of it's good, some is not. And you know what's funny is like Cable also is another one that just jumped in. I finished the Gambit miniseries. It was good. I mean, not all of it's great. I just feel like there's so many X-Men and so much confusion that I want to read into, you know, the current time. I read, I think, the first issue of, I don't remember if it was House of X or Power of X. I was really confused. I was like, I think I'm just going to go back to it after it's kind of all done.
It's going to be collected as a 12-issue hardcover.
Yeah. I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to read it digitally. But
Make sure you read them in the right order.
yeah, I know. I'll
really
make sure
is.
to do that. But yeah, I've been reading again. Immortal Hulk has been really good. I'm kind of catching up on everything from like the November 18 of Marvel side. DC, I haven't read much in a while outside of probably the book club book, because their service isn't great and I don't like to read the physical books as much anymore, even though I buy a lot of them.
Traitor.
I know. Well, it's because I don't want to ruin them.
I
Because
can't
God
browse
forbid
on
something would be worth money.
You know how
can't-
many times I've fallen asleep on books, man?
Yeah,
It
and I
happens.
can't do that.
I can't
okay.
browse on the DC app. I need to know exactly what I'm going in to read.
And
even then it's
you know,
annoying to find.
we said it briefly when we went to the DC headquarters during New York Comic Con. You know, I said to was it Clark Wolf? I was like, listen, I was like, I don't know
Clark
how much.
Daily. No.
No, it's Clark
Clark
Wolf.
Wolf.
I'm
Clark Kent.
correct,
DC
yeah.
Daily. I'm
DC
sorry.
Yes.
Daily.
Sorry.
And I was like, listen, I'll be honest
That's
with you. It was just like the original content, like what I'm recently watching. I think me and JJ both probably watched this. Titans has been fantastic, but the way you guys set up the comic
Even the
library
comic
is very
selection
clunky.
great, but it's just clunky.
Yeah, I mean, and they're not as close. Like I think Marvel's only 3 months behind with
Yeah.
their library of stuff. It could be 6
Really?
months. I could be wrong,
Okay.
but it's just not where it should be. I hope they improve that quickly, because that's really the main reason I wanted the DC app, was for the reading. I mean, not to say that the content doesn't intrigue me, but yeah, that's mostly what I've been reading. Again, Venom has been pretty good so far. I'm enjoying that. He just spoiler alert for anyone who's behind. He absorbed briefly. Apparently, Flesh Thompson died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he absorbed like his
Spoilers.
part of his Venom symbiote. I said spoiler alert for whoever.
That was like
Yeah.
before the new
Yeah,
Venom series.
that was
kicked
November.
off.
Yeah, and so he briefly took on like his consciousness through his symbiote, because I
That's
guess there was still
cool.
some of it left. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. Amazing Spider-Man, I'm finally catching up on. I think I might be done with Spider-Geddon finally in the next 2 weeks. And again, watching the Titans season 2 episode 6 was the introduction to Connor Kent. I don't think they call him Connor Kent, but Superboy, fantastic. I said this in the posting on Don't Feed the Geeks, but he at times I did get a very young Henry Cavill, young Tom Welling vibe from him. I think he had and he was supposed to have like this sense of innocence of, you know, discovering the world, but he also gets influences from, you know, the people he's cloned from, which is pretty cool too. So
They're pulling that from the Jeff Johns series.
I probably
Probably.
I don't know that series, but
Yeah.
it was really enjoyable. I hope what happened at the end of the episode doesn't stick, because that would be really disappointing. I won't ruin that just yet. But it was funny. So I didn't know this, but who pointed it out? JJ, you pointed this out, that they had very similar to the comic books, whether you could vote whether. So in the previous episode, Jason Todd falls out a window, and I guess you got to vote whether he survived or didn't survive.
I voted twice.
So
You did?
I voted one way and then I voted the other way and I negated my vote.
You're trying to be a Scott Snyder?
I totally did.
Funny story. Scott Snyder did that with the original book series. He said he called both ways because he felt bad after he told him Jason Todd should die.
yeah, this was just open for DC Universe members only.
Oh, okay.
The
So you
polling.
lied. You're not a DC Universe member.
Listen, I got the link. I voted.
Oh,
All right.
there you go.
All
Don't
right,
ask me
maybe
questions.
It wasn't. But again, spoiler alert: he doesn't die.
What?
Yeah, unfortunately. But no, I actually like his interpretation of Jason Todd.
yeah,
He's annoying, but he's annoying in a fun way.
Hmm.
And do you have anything like specific to talk about reading, watching? Because I think we should briefly talk about the Stan Lee.
Well, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
So, well, let me get through mine. So
Yeah.
specifically, just reading. I'm still reading my Star Wars, all that.
That I'm catching up on too.
Catching up on that stuff. I did start our book club book, God Country, which I started.
Nice.
I'm almost done with it. So
I haven't started.
we'll talk about that. And I'm also reading because I went on a buying spree during, I think it was Labor Day weekend, buying some books on DC. So I'm reading Wonder Woman Earth 1 Book 2, Volume 2, which I bought. I think I paid $5.99 for it.
Let me know how that is.
I like it. I like the first book, because what I ended up doing was I reread the Volume 1, and then I'm reading Volume 2 again. So that's where I'm at. Watching, same thing, just the Titans. TC mentioned all that.
Oh, I did watch the first episodes of The Flash, Supergirl, and Batwoman.
Yeah.
I enjoyed The Flash, and that's all I'm going to say about the 3 shows that I watched.
Yeah. You and everybody else
Sometimes
is
they
saying
don't
the same
make
thing.
content for you in that.
Exactly.
Moral of this episode.
Yeah. So I had the really great pleasure of
Privilege.
Privilege is even a better word. I won a lottery through the Marvel Unlimited app, which was the event celebrating Stan Lee, which was
Marvel Celebrates Stan Lee, I
Yep.
think it was called.
yeah, which was this past Monday. Well, I'm not sure what date that was, but the 10th or something like that.
Yeah.
So I ended up
Seven.
I was able to bring a guest, and TC came with me, and I went in there not knowing what to expect. They really didn't talk about it. What was strange about the whole thing was I got the invite. I put my name in probably 2 weeks ago, week and a half.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say 2 weeks ago, and they were supposed to let people know like a week ago. Actually, a week before the event, but I ended up finding. I think they sent the
Like
emails out
Friday or something like that
2
during
days
Comic Con.
beforehand. It was
Yeah.
weird. So we this past Monday I went down to New Amsterdam Theater, which is on 42nd between 8th and 9th. I'm sorry, 7th and 8th. And upon arrival there, the line was huge, monstrous. And I was there by myself at first. TC didn't show up yet. But as I'm standing online there, I'm noticing the people that were online with me were some of the biggest names in the Marvel.
Huge karmic names. Like,
Huge names.
Was
Was
it
it
J. Scott Campbell standing
choose
behind you?
I didn't know he was standing behind me until I saw his wife walk by me, and I'm like,
That's
"Is
her.
that her?" And I blew it off because I was like, "No, what is she walking down 42nd Street on a night like this?" Didn't.
Keep going.
Yeah. So then when I turned around, he was standing. J. Scott Campbell was standing right behind me, and that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the who's who of the Marvel
It was
universe
amazing.
was there. I mean, when I came up and met you at the end of the line, which was already wrapping around the corner at that point, I saw Todd Knock there with his wife. Frank Cho had eventually, when you ran in and found out that we could already go in. Frank Cho had already stopped by J. Scott Campbell, and they were talking. So, I mean, when we got in there, Andy Kubert, who we'll get into what he did for the show later. He was sitting front row, center row for the show. But yeah, it was a really nice event.
So yeah, we were given these great exclusive comic books, which
Yeah.
are going for crazy on eBay.
And just to point out, I think, did you sign up to go to this event? Did you get the email?
I didn't win obviously, but
Yeah,
I did sign
so
up.
it wasn't, not every Marvel Unlimited person who signed up got this. So both I and Toy Story also signed up for the event, and only JJ got it. So this was a true lottery. It wasn't open to every single, not every single Marvel Unlimited person did get the access to this event.
I don't know how they do it because it's
Yeah,
It's probably
really-
random.
Well, so when we got inside, we were put up on the third floor, the mezzanine
balcony.
section, the balcony,
Yeah.
which was still, we had great
Yeah.
seats and everything else like that. But the number of, I'm going to say, Marvel Unlimited people, because I'm imagining that's who we were all up there.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of people up there.
I think they could have definitely allowed a lot more people in. I think it was probably, the only thing I could guess is maybe there was more people that they were expecting to show up that didn't, maybe. More people, more creators and employees of Marvel who just maybe didn't make it to the show.
I don't know. It's
Yeah, they wait and see, and then they paper that later on.
Yeah, because I think it got to the point where they allowed some people from our section to go lower because they needed to fill in some of those lower seats.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we weren't.
They want a full house.
What's that?
They want to see a full house.
Yeah,
so they
100%.
make that happen,
And just to
however.
be clear, like I don't. At this point by Monday, I don't think it'll be televised, but it was recorded by ABC to be televised at a later event.
That's awesome.
And it's still, I checked on the internet. You sent me that link. That it's still not clear when it's going to be
Right.
released on ABC or maybe an affiliate of ABC.
So what this event was just basically celebrating Stan Lee and the guest list. What's his name? Greg Clark.
Clark Gregg.
Greg backwards.
Maybe you're right. Maybe
No, it's Greg Clark.
it's Greg Clark.
Greg
yeah,
Clark.
Greg Clark from Agents of Shield.
Yep.
Coulson. He
Coulson.
kind of emceed the event. He did an opener. So not he.
Not even him. It was-
Yeah. So Charlie Cox, who well, I don't know how much of this is spoilerific. If we can share it, but I mean, we'll tell you who's there, but we won't say what they said.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox kind of opened it up. The only thing I will say is #Save Daredevil was heard a few times in the event, maybe by Clark Gregg specifically.
It's Clark Gregg.
Yeah, it's Clark
I
Gregg.
goofed.
Yeah. Sorry, Clark Gregg.
So I was right originally.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
Oh, thank God.
There's 2 G's in Greg, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I got it right.
But he kind of emceed the event. He was the host, I guess, of the
Yeah.
event. Who else was there? There was also there was big names. Tom Hiddleston was there. Paul Bettany, who
Bettany.
plays Vision. We had
What's the
Ming
girl?
Wen Na.
Yeah. That
Is
girl.
that what? I'm blanking on her name from
June loves my
from
wife.
Agents
loves
of
her.
Shield. She plays May.
Yep.
She was there. There was Todd
Todd
McFarlane came
McFarlane.
out and spoke.
Who's the girl? Deborah Ann Wall.
Yes, from
She was there.
she played who's the girl in Daredevil?
Daredevil.
Karen Page.
Karen
Yep.
Page. Yeah.
I would
s-
love to meet Todd McFarlane. Just saying.
It was
Ah,
it
he's
was
all right.
really nice. Yeah.
I met him.
CB
all friends.
Cebulski.
CB. Yeah.
It's the new SG at Marvel.
He came out and spoke. The girl who's doing Riri Williams. I apologize. I'm blanking on her name right now. But she came out. She said, I mean, the people were really saying the most beautiful things about Stan and what he did for the industry. I mean, regardless of whether you're a Marvel or DC person, I think Stan deserves all the credit he gets on revolutionizing the industry. Whether you like the guy personally or not. And the thing to me, I'm sorry to
No,
cut
go
you off
for
a
it.
little bit here, is the kind of the feeling that you got in the room of overwhelming love for this person.
Agreed.
And it doesn't have to be on a personal level, but what he did for comic books, and so many people had personal stories that connected it to it. He was a huge factor of diversifying the comic book industry. I mean, I'm sure he's not the only factor. I'm sure there was other people involved, but a lot of people attribute the change in comic books to him. He made it personal. Like there was no feeling at there of all of anything else other than love for Stan and the comic industry and what he did. And it really showed with the videos they showed of him and the things that people said. I mean, Tom Hiddleston probably really stole it for me with the things he said about him, and he had only said he'd met him a handful of times.
Right.
But he was just such a powerful force in the comic book industry, and it was a really special event to be a part
And
of.
then in between everybody, they had some videos up on a
Yeah.
screen where they showed pictures of him, and there was a great shot of him on a couch.
I've seen that one a few times where he's got like a comic book in front of him.
He's completely naked and holding a comic book in front of his.
Yeah, he's.
Awesome.
I'll be honest with you. There was a couple times that I don't know if I cried, but I definitely watered up a little bit. It was a really emotional show.
It was an honor to be.
Yeah, it was. It was. Even if I didn't get to meet anyone or see anyone, I mean, I would have been happy to watch this on TV. It was just, the feeling you got. I think that was the only other thing. The feeling you got by being in that room was that when you looked around, so many people were so happy, and because of his contributions, that you felt that, and that's what was really magical about being at that event for me. And I mean, I think that's really all I gotta say about that.
Very well said, guys.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, want to wrap this up then for today?
Yes. So we do have a few announcements. The first thing that I wanted to say is I want to give a shout out to Matt Burns. He emailed me and told me his name because we did meet him during New York Comic Con.
Right.
Matt, we appreciate you for listening to the show. We hope you continue to do it, share, and hit us up every once in a while if there's stuff you like, there's stuff that you want to hear about.
Ask us questions if you want.
Yeah.
Pose a question to the group.
Yeah.
Get your friends involved too.
Yeah. Jump in on the next time we do a live book club. But the two things that I do want to go through real quickly, if you can scroll down a little bit more here, Mr. JJ.
That's all I got.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
That's too high.
Little lower. Okay. All right. So what's coming up recently is we have the Suffolk Comic and Art Expo happening on October 26, 2019.
It's on a Saturday.
From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Yes, it is on a Saturday. This year will be held at the Suffolk County Community College Grant Campus in Brentwood. It's on Crooked Hill Road on Brentwood, New York. Tickets are $20 and for children 10 and under, they are free. So the price went up a little bit on this. I think it's because, there's a lot more guests and stuff coming.
A lot of big names.
Yeah. So just briefly, I'm going to tell you the people that are coming this show include legends like Jim Steranko, Adam Kubert, Barry Kitson, Larry Stroman. And that's, I'm not even I'm scratching the surface on how many awesome creators will be there. We have a ton of local people too, like our buddy, Tom Travers, another one of our friends, Crees. I don't know, Billy. We don't know if Billy Tucci's going or not, but Billy Tucci might be there. Mike Lilly, another one of our friends, Riley Brown, John Broglia, Eddie Avila, Jay Lipson, Sean Chen, and J.C. Vaughn. I mean, and guys, this is a small percentage of the people that are going to be there. So if you're in the area, if you can make it there, there's going to be a lot of creators. This is a pure comic show.
Comic art.
Yeah, comic art, comic creators, comic writers, and there's comic book vendors there too. Royal Collectibles, Kyle's Comics, a lot of good people. So the last thing I want to leave you guys with, you've already seen the post that we've done. Hurricane 2019 is going to be Saturday, November 23rd this year. This show is held at Bethany Congregational Church, located at 100 Main Street in East Rockaway, New York. This show, the Bethany served as a relief center for the very hard-hit East Rockaway area during Hurricane Sandy, and had to pay a lot of the improvements that they needed to make after they served as the relief center out of pocket. And this show is being run by a guy named David Donovan. To help raise money to make the improvements, recoup some of the money that they needed to pay to make the improvements. We kind of teaming up a little bit with him here. So it's $5 at the door, and they're doing a charity raffle, which we're kind of looking for our friends in the creative side and the vendor side. If they're willing to donate anything, either let us know or contact David Donovan. You can, reference the post I made the other day. But 100% of these donations go to the church. So any support you guys can provide would be awesome. And that's all I got for now, guys.
There you go.
All right. So you'll see us around. And remember, until next time.
Don't feed the geeks!